Welcome back to Reset City. It is Tuesday, which is unusual. I'm not normally here on Tuesdays, but we have DRL coming back after a little bit of a break because of some French events and stuff like that. And I'm here to cast it today. The match should be starting in just a couple of minutes, so I don't think we have that much time for yapping. Everything about this match was kind of put together in the last moment because we have a French derby between Niorra, number 3 seed of the competition, and Iron, number 2 seed of the competition. And Niorra wasn't able to do the match because he was participating in one of the French events. But that event was happening at Forsa's place. So when I switch to the commentary scene, you will notice that Niorra is actually streaming from Forsa's place and doing the match from Forsa's place, which is kind of funny to me. But yeah, how's everyone doing? Hello, Bacon. What's up, Abby? How you guys doing? Hello, Deschin. Hello, Doomy. Good to see you guys. Hope you are doing well. Thank you. Thank you for the grats. It was actually pretty chill, man. Like, basically, first run that I got with the Lord Vessel ended up being the run, right? So, can't be too bad. My glasses are dirty because it was raining when I was cycling to the gym. But yeah, I went to hit the gym today and just now got back. Had to start the stream a little bit earlier because this match starts exactly at 2 p.m., which is in like 2 minutes. So let's jump into the DRL cast scene. As you can see, both players are set up and ready. And both players are actually eyeing different classes right now. We have Bandit on the left side being eyed by Iron, number 2 seed of the competition. And on the right side, you have Vagabond being eyed and already being actually selected by Niorra. The Troll Hammer is the choice there for Vagabond, which is obviously a Colossal. So you could end up power stancing that one. And at the same time, the Health and Steeple on the left side is just a really powerful greatsword overall with a status effect. I think that Troll's Hammer is a Colossal anyway. I don't think it's it's a Colossal. It is not a great hammer. Makes sense, makes sense. Let's quickly recap the journey of both of these players as we are getting underway here. Hey, Lazy Laura, I do not stream on YouTube at the moment, but it will be a thing in the near future, I think. Yo, what's up, Crimer? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So 75 stream streak for Bacon. That's crazy, man. Hope you're doing well. What's up? So if we quickly recap the journey that both players have taken before we get underway here. You can see that Iron entered the brackets in the upper part. We are in the lower bracket right now in the quarterfinals. We can see that very clearly over here, losers quarter. So whoever loses today is out. So either seed number 2 or seed number 3, you know, some of the heaviest favorites to actually win the entire tournament will be out today. Winner will be facing the winner of Kaijuro against Helios in the losers semifinals. But if you look at how they got there, you can see that Iron entered in the upper bracket, won against Jeff in a really close match. It doesn't look close because Jeff died, but it was a close match. He beat Helios as well with another score of 80. Then he narrowly lost to Roman Jacques in the upper brackets and fell directly to the lower bracket into this matchup that we will be watching today. That is the one right there. So that has been the journey for Iron. Meanwhile, I'm going to actually use this website because it's a little bit more visible. Niorra entered in the upper bracket, immediately lost in the round 1 of the competition against Roman Jacques, who is now in the winners finals. Big rematch there. Roman Jacques took it. Niorra fell to the lower bracket, directly to round 2, and he's been on a little bit of a streak right now. He beat NPT at 81 to 77. He also beat Pearl in a nail-biter of a match at 79 to 78. And he beat Rambler at 80 to 79, where Rambler kinda just threw the match at the very end. And then eventually he also beat Plural at 78 to 77. Now, one common thing that you will notice as both players are starting right now is that Niorra has died in a lot of his matches. He died here, he died in the 4th round, and he died against Plural as well. So we'll see if that is the case again today. Meanwhile, Iron, you know, despite losing, he has kept it deathless. So we'll see where the consistency lies. I will also start a quick prediction. As we are now underway, you can see that the 2 extra graces that both players are getting are Forbidden Lands and Leyndell, that is in the upper right corner of the screen. That is very interesting because Forbidden Lands can present some extra bosses if the seed is really, really quick. And at the same time, Leyndell is obviously access to Altus. So if neither player, or I should say if the players do not find Dictus, then they will be able to use that grace, run out of Leyndell backwards, enter Altus Plateau that way, and still save time over having to go through Precipice. Both players starting with the same early game right now, finding immediately another Colossal. So both players ended up starting with this Vagabond class. They will be very, very happy that they did so because they immediately found the second Colossal in the Grafted Blade Greatsword, which will allow them to power stance basically right from the get-go. You guys can get your channel points in. We'll be running it for 5 minutes. How many second chances do they get? Since there's only one lower bracket, it is only one. Okay, both players now at this Liurnia Merchant going to be selling all of the equipment. If, you know, since we have been on a little bit of a break here with DRL, I'm gonna give a quick refresher on what the format is actually like. So both players are trying to kill as many bosses as possible in the time of 2 hours. Whoever has the highest points wins. In the case of a death, the points for the player who died will be locked until their opponent dies as well, and then it's again down to score versus score. The most important things to note are the fact that they both players start with a care package of 50 different items. Those items also include a seal, which is usually very, very important because there's also auto upgrade enabled in this format, which means that whatever weapon you upgrade to your max, any other weapon that you obtain after that is also going to be upgraded to that level. And that includes weapons that you already have, drop on the ground, and pick back up. So for example, if you know, both players have these two Colossals, they will try to upgrade their seals and then simply drop the Colossals on the ground, pick them back up, and then have them fully upgraded as well. Now, most of the crafting or upgrade materials are actually available in the Roundtable Hold besides the max level stones, so that is +10 and +25. So the early game will be somewhat similar for both these players. Both Iron and Niorra are going to try to loot as much as possible, as, you know, I would say time and map progression permits, and they will try to use that money to buy these upgrade stones in Roundtable, level up a seal, then drop their main weapons on the ground, and then get going as quickly as possible. You can see already a legendary pickup here for Iron. He picks up the +25 stone, finds the Ancient Dragon Katana as well. That can be very, very helpful sometimes against some dragons. And then he pieces out, doesn't want to die on that graveyard. That's a huge pickup. Both players will probably be picking this one up, especially because the legendary item is so close. Yeah, Niorra, you can see he's a couple of seconds behind, but picking up the same stuff right now. Both players will be able to get really, really strong. Now, they do not have any power stance friendly talismans at the moment. You have the Shard of Alexander, sorry. That boosts weapon skills. You also have some extra stamina, which actually for Colossal power stance is going to be pretty huge, because one of the biggest downsides of power stancing to Colossals is that you run out of stamina fairly quickly. And this way they will be able to negate some of it as well. Another thing that needs to be pointed out is that all of the weapons have their weapon stat requirements disabled, which means all players can use any weapons that they actually find. Hello again, Avi. Hello, Daniel. Hello, Vex. How's it going, guys? Glad to hear that you're doing well, Crimer. I'm doing all right. Yeah, the weather, at least here, has been really crap. As I said earlier, I cycled to the gym, and it was raining directly into my face the entire time. So let's hope it is not going to be a rainy day here in the lands between, and instead it's just going to rain boss skills left, right, and center. Right now, good starting weapons probably mean that we might be seeing a little bit of a higher score, but it depends on how fast the players can actually get their builds going. At the same time, I was talking about the different power stance build options. Both players actually started also with a Thorny Physic, the Cracked Tier, which is a multi-hit bonus, and power stance attacks actually boost them quite a bit because you build it up rather quickly, you know, because each weapon, left and right, when you do a power stance jump attack, which has been the meta here in DRL, they count as a singular hit. So that means basically per one attack, you're getting 2 hits in, so you can stack the bonus rather quickly on a boss. Less relevant in the early game, a lot more relevant in the latter parts of the run, especially if players get to Dragon Barrow, which they might in the Seed because of how strong they are, or they might also get to Altus, obviously. And here you can also already see the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana picked up by Iron in that Liurnia graveyard, immediately sniping the first boss, getting on the board. Both players having the same kind of early game routing right now. Hey, what's up, Rambler? Welcome in. Hello, Draz. What is up? Let's actually start listening to something a little bit more interesting as well. And we have the Bell-Bearing Hunter here as the second boss. Iron still sticking with the Great Katana for now. His endurance is rather low. He would not be able to equip any kind of armor, and honestly, without that, he might have already been getting wrecked. A little bit of panic rolling there as well. And the Dragon Hunter Great Katana being used by Niorra as well. However, he does get a flying attack as an opener rather than the Scream, so he doesn't get the kill as quickly as Iron was able to. And this Bell-Bearing Hunter is taking a while, actually. Kind of surprised that Iron is going for it. But then again, it is Limgrave. You're not expecting to be struggling in Limgrave as much, as the score is now 2-1. Niorra switching to the Grafted Blade Greatsword rather than the Katana. He also leveled up quite a bit less health than Iron did, and this damage is a lot better per hit. Now, obviously, the Katana, the Great Katana, is gonna have the advantage of a bleed proc, but I don't think that is gonna be relevant here whatsoever. Immediate stagger with this colossal weapon, and Niorra gets a much faster kill that is needed for him, as he is still a little bit behind Iron. And both players also finding a remembrance from this kill, so very important that both players actually decided to go for this, because this early money will generally allow them to upgrade rather quickly. You know, they found the max level stone, so they'll be looking to get to plus 25, and as soon as I say that, Iron is already in roundtable hold. Meanwhile, Kale having some interesting gear, Bloodhound Claws, another Colossal as well. Bloodhound Claws can be useful in some scenarios. And Niorra did have a slight advantage of his upgrade level. He was able to get to plus 16 with the initial pickups, while Iron was at plus 15, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because both players are now going to be able to upgrade to max. So, Morgoth's Great Rune as well, obtained by the two players. I didn't mention that. That was from the dragon at the start. Morgoth's Great Rune will be activated. You don't have to go to a tower in this format to activate it. It will be activated automatically. You can simply equip it at a grace. However, both players will need to have a rune arc available, and they haven't actually bought that yet. Let's see, Niorra not going to upgrade just yet. He doesn't think that the money he had was enough from that Sunflower Remembrance. Instead, he is gonna head over to this boss fight here, replacing Crucible Knight. Is gonna be Romina, so this could be a little sus. Niorra has to do some quick menuing because he equipped a talisman, and that talisman actually made him heavy roll. Right now, he's back to medium. Romina, obviously, is very scary because her butterflies are not scaled properly, so they can one-shot you just out of nowhere. And in Evergels especially, it is quite tricky. And right now, Niorra in a really bad spot. The butterflies are all around him. He is gonna stand in the middle, almost get one-shot. That is crazy. Why did he just stand there? He just started healing. If he ran further forwards, he would have been out of the range. That is insane. Yeah, he's gonna use the Blessing of Marika. I don't know how that actually went off because he got hit in the middle of it. Meanwhile, Iron, on the other hand, having a higher upgrade, I believe now. Using the Katana instead. I can't believe that Niorra actually survived there. That was really, really lucky that not more of the butterflies hit him, but both players getting the kill at the same time. And it's a very clear advantage now for Iron because he was back to round table, while Niorra has not been back to round table. That is crazy. 3-3 is the score. Both players exiting at about the same time, but what you need to pay attention to is also the in-game timer. Of course, we are running on in-game time because that is the fairest way to compare two players. Cuts out any loading disparities, and there's about a 10-second advantage for Iron, as in he has 10 more seconds to actually... What the fuck is this, man? What is this music? Yeah, he has about a 10 more seconds to actually finish this match. Only now he's going to be dropping the other weapons as well. He's fully upgraded, so that Dragon Hunter Great Katana definitely had more power for Iron. And this is one of the things that I just do not like about, you know, if you find the Remembrance early on, rushing into this Everjail, I just find it risky. And the main reason is it is part of a map progression. Like, you're always going to be losing quite a decent amount of time if you have to peace out for whatever reason. And it's also relatively high skilled compared to everything else that is around in Limgrave, because that Crucible Knight is normally very, very powerful, right? Compared to his surroundings. So if you find something difficult, if you find something that takes a while and you are not upgraded, while your opponent, in this case Iron, you know, was upgraded, you're going to lose a lot of time. You're going to lose a lot of time in comparison. So other than that, the routing right now following the same pattern for both players. Niorra is super heavy rolling, trying to find that correct setup with weight, as Dane is going to be the next boss, the replacement for Bernal. And again, Niorra, I mean, he's sitting at 60k and he's not upgrading yet. Now, his damage here is pretty good. He is power stancing, so he will try to go for that delayed crouch L1 tech, as he's able to get really, really nice kill there on Dane, so didn't really lose that much time. As Iron is gonna go for the same build as well. Both players with the same kind of power stance with the Crozier and the Troll's Hammer. That is obviously fantastic because it's strike on the Troll's Hammer. And I believe it has to be strike on the Crozier as well, right? I'm gonna prelate Crozier. I'm gonna look that up. Or is that standard? That is also strike. Yeah, so both players with double strike weapons. Obviously great against someone like the Crystallion there. It's also really good against anything that is undead. That is Deathrite Birds, that is Ghost Flame Dragons. Those are usually pretty tanky, especially in the latter parts of the game. And so being able to have double strike is going to be really good. There are not that many enemies that are actually strong against strike. One of them is Godskin Noble, and for someone like Godskin Noble, both players have the Bloodhound Claws, which are really good, so... Over 30 points per jump L1 as Azaz adds. That is also very true. Not going to be as relevant potentially here in Limgrave simply because the bosses are probably going to fall like flies. But if you get to places like Dragon Barrow, if you get to places like Altus, we always talk about the poise damage, the staggers will become relevant there in theory. Not because players would like to take a riposte, but because it gives them extra time in order to be able to, you know, do more power stancing. So... That is really good. You're not really committed to the checking shops only once, but I think at this point he has too much going for his build for patches to give him such an advantage. Yeah. I especially think that if you have your power stance set up and you are, you know, only at plus 16, and you know that there's a Remembrance, so your opponent might have already upgraded, I guess the main thing is you're really just hoping that the fights you're going to encounter are not going to be as strong. And so the advantage between 16 to plus 25 is not going to be as big. But, you know, he already saw Romina. He already must have known that, like, oh, I'm probably losing time here if Iron actually upgraded. As Iron is now heading over to the Duelist Cave, we have a little bit of a disparity here between the two players in the sense of routing. We have Niorra heading over to the Graveyard, to the Third Church of Marika, that will give him Dragon Barrow access as well. And at the same time, Duelist Catacomb for Iron, who is looking to go to patches. There's a very good chance that both players are going to be doing the exact same thing. They might have just swapped the order as well. What's up, Jay? How's it going? Hello. Score 6-5. Iron in the lead in these early stages of the match. And the reason we can tell is because, you know, both players stuck with the same routing so far. Uh-oh, Usai the Tree Spirit. Iron gonna have to make sure to dodge this. Gets off Torrents not to get trapped. Tries to get back on Torrent here. Also, the Tree Spirit, definitely one of the more annoying enemies that you can encounter in this narrow of a pathway. Axe of Godric. Plus 10 already upgraded. That is the next pickup. But yeah, definitely an annoying enemy because it leashes super far. And so when you are running towards this invader, maybe the tree spirit is behind you. Luckily not this time. Also another thing, this invader, both players probably going to be going for this deload strat where they get invaded and then they run far enough away so that the invader disappears. It also does deload the enemies that are behind you, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Interesting, Niorra choosing a little bit of a different pathing there, as Mesmer Soldier is now right behind him. He has to be careful, as Mesmer Soldiers are going to deal a lot of damage. Luckily, he does avoid that double power charge R2, and he's not taking this grace, and immediately progresses towards the duelist. Well, first towards the lever, and we saw some trouble here for Iron, who had to deal with a lot of annoying enemies at the same time, and Iron has a lot more health right now than Niorra, so it was a little bit safer for him, but Niorra having zero issues, actually. As you can see on the right side. Just gets through there unscathed, hitless, zero problems. Patches, the next point for Iron. And I assume Iron now with 53k will be heading back over to Roundtable. Maybe not yet. No, he is. Okay, he's gonna try to do the last shopping. Gonna try to do the last shopping. He did find the remembrance from that duelist as well, which now Niorra found too. And yeah, I think Niorra's strat is basically just you skip a Roundtable hold visit as we now actually await what this tree spirit does for Niorra. It seems that it is actually going to be fairly chill. Niorra taking the Spirit Spring to get away. Gonna be trying to pick up this legendary. Finds the Axe of Godric as well. But yeah, very, very interesting in the sense that Niorra basically just wants to skip a Roundtable hold visit, you know? He wants to just get everything done and then get back to action as quickly as possible. However, what we have to say is that despite Iron... Okay, Iron's now, yeah, going to be doing this running section as well. But despite Iron doing an extra Roundtable hold visit, I think he's already benefited from those extra upgrades, especially on Romina. Even on something like Dane, he probably did save a hit or something like that. Yeah, I'm aware that there was an event that Niorra is part of, and I know that right now he's streaming from Forsa's place, actually, so I totally get that. At the same time, this is a recurring pattern from Niorra, you know, it's not the first time that we see this strategy, and I do think that this is maybe a little bit suboptimal. At the same time, he made it all the way to losers quarters, so does not really matter. Sunflower picked up indeed as well. That is a fantastic weapon, not just strike, but also holy damage. At least I think it's strike. Duelist gets one shot. A little bit of a different routing. Iron is going to be heading over to the upper Kaled as soon as possible. The rationale for that is to make it to Dragon Barrow West so that he gets to the merchant there and tries to see if he can pick up some kind of an upgrade over there in terms of his build quality. He'll be looking for any kind of jump attack bonus, any kind of multi-hit bonus that he doesn't have yet. That can all help. Oh, these are two of the lightest Colossals as well? Oh, very nice. Yeah, this seems to be a really, really good start to the seed right now. Yeah, Colossal picked up now as well. The Colossal Sunflower, that is. For Niorra, as he's looking at the Patch's shop. Of course, the map progression isn't exactly the same right now because we don't have the third church. We don't have the third church for Iron, but I mean, he already made it to Upper Dragon Barrow. Sorry, to Upper Kaled. So we can assume that the map progression is about the same. The map progression is about the same. Niorra is going to definitely two-shots that duelist as well, so that is not really a concern in terms of fight. But, like, look at the time difference, you know? Look at the time difference. They're basically about the same. And Iron, by now, has more map progression than Niorra. And that is one fewer visit, with one fewer visit to Roundtable hold. So I find that to be quite telling with this strategic choice in the early game. He has not gone to third church. However, he has made it further here in Kaled. And now you can see Niorra also, he is gonna be... Yeah, he was duping his Ash of War there so that he can try to make his weapons heavy. That is one thing that we saw from Niorra as well, making a weapon heavy a little bit too soon in the match, maybe. That was against Pearl. Well, Pearl was, you know, for the most part, kind of out-damaging Niorra, keeping his weapon standard, but at the same time, Niorra got the advantage in the late game because of that heavy scaling. However, this time he's not doing it. He's gonna wield the Crozier, he's gonna wield the Sunflower, he's not making his weapon heavy. Gonna keep it standard in the early game. He just duped the Ash of War to make sure that when he wanted to do the swap, he could do the swap. Hey, what's up, ISO? How's it going? All right, let's see. Both players now still diverging. Death Touch Catacombs for Niorra on the right side, where he has the Memory of Grace out. Also, Great Omen Killer Cleaver with Wild Strikes. That weapon is insane as well. I don't think that will necessarily be a case where you need to swap to it, but the option is there, so neat little pickup. Nothing that will make Iron stronger necessarily at the moment. And now both players actually going in the same direction. Death Touch Catacombs. It is going to be Emir. Niorra facing him already. And the reason that players are going here now is because they've done their shopping, as Iron is now stuck in the corner. Quite a dangerous position if it wasn't for Limgrave. They've done their shopping, they have spent their runes, and in order to progress through this catacomb as quickly as possible, you want to go pull the lever, and instead of running back, if you can Memory of Grace, it is a little bit faster. Just a few seconds, but it is a little bit faster than running back. And obviously, when you Memory of Grace, you also sacrifice all of the runes that you have. So, Iron right now losing a whole 2.5k. Not really a big deal. As the next place of destination for Niorra is this Groveside Cave. Knight's Cavalry goes down rather quickly, and at a point there, 9-9 is the score. But now we can start ignoring the score a little bit because we have diverged so much between the two players. And Niorra now gonna be heading over to this Limgrave chain, I assume. Oh, much, I didn't want to say much faster fight, because the fight isn't much faster for Niorra, but he did have a little bit of a quicker fight. Since Iron did miss one of those attacks there, Emir didn't give him the perfect RNG of just summoning immediately. He moved out of the way first. And both players converging now. Okay. Interesting. Both players converging on the same path, this Limgrave tunnel, into the Agil replacement. Both players are going to try to aggro, well, not really aggro these enemies, but trigger a script here. Normally the way this works is that Agil flies in, and he has a bunch of nobles around him, right? But when he flies in, he kills them. So when you reload the area, they're not there. The developers wanted to make sure, because Agil doesn't fly in the second time, so they wanted to make sure that the enemies are not there when you're fighting Agil. And so what you can do instead, even in the randomizer, is you can trigger the event box for Agil's spawn, and then when you come back, the enemies that are now randomized, and they wouldn't have died, they would have stayed there, they're all gonna disappear. So that's why you saw both players kind of run a little bit towards the boss fight, despite not doing it right now. They're gonna go to Limgrave Tunnel, and when they take the thread, that reloads the area, and all the enemies are gonna be gone besides the boss. A little bit of faster pathing here for Iron. He is not taking the elevators. Instead, he's jumping down on the sides, and he's catching up to Niorra slowly but surely. And given that, well, now the in-game times have basically converged. We are tied again. I think it is fairly safe to say that Iron is in the lead. Simply because of that progression all the way to Dragon Barrow West. Marag was the boss, super quick for Niorra, as a bat is also entering the fray here with Iron. Ooh, doesn't get the first attack, he actually gets clipped by the fire. That can sometimes happen when you try to go to the side of the head, and now we have a flying attack, and this could be really nasty now for Iron, because dragons in tunnels are very, very difficult to deal with when they get stuck on top of the collision. However, this time, actually not an issue. Smaragd does not fly up. I don't know how that happens, but he did not fly up. And Iron does get a kill despite losing a little bit of time. Oh, no, what was that roll from Niorra? He wanted to try and roll towards the Deathbird. Lets him finish his phase transition attack. Loses a little bit of time there. Gives his signature a look up. Rolling his eyes, but he does get the kill rather quickly. We'll see how this fight goes for Iron, if Iron can actually catch up a little bit. Yeah, I want to say the Crozier actually dealt more damage than the Troll's Hammer. That was... I mean, maybe there was a headshot disparity or something like that, as Theodorix is now on the bridge, alongside with the skeleton from Fire Missoula that is breathing a lot of fire around Niorra. Okay, Theodorix goes down. Nice kill for Niorra. Same item pickup. And now we have a little bit of a different power stance, actually, for Iron, who swapped to the Axe of Godric alongside this Omen Killer Cleaver. I think his hope was to get a stagger and then maybe unleash Wild Strikes, but there was no time for that. He just wanted to make sure that he wasn't using a fire weapon against Theodorix, which I think makes a lot of sense, as he's using the Troll's Hammer. Troll's Hammer is a smithing weapon, however, you cannot change the Ash of War on it, funnily enough, and it has fire damage by default. So I think that was the rationale. Kind of surprised that he didn't just switch to the Crozier. Yeah, these Colossals are really, really strong. Obviously, in Limgrave, a lot of weapons, when they are fully upgraded, are going to be strong, but this Colossal build is really melting things rather quickly. We have Niorra with a little bit of extra routing. Picking up some extra items on that graveyard. It does not really cost him much time, but it's a little bit more, right? A little bit more. I'm not exactly sure what Niorra is looking for either. I think that any kind of like multi-hit or jump attack booster would be great. However, the chances you find it in some random loot like that is kind of low. Now, he's looting a little bit of a graveyard, right? He only picked up like 2 or 3 items, which is not a lot, but at least it's more of a dense area. Going for like one-off pickups, I think, would be terrible in this scenario, because the chances that you find something is very, very slim. Now, checking a merchant, I think, still makes sense, because a merchant is, you know, he's gonna have like 20 items or something like that, a really big merchant. Some smaller ones will have fewer than that, but it's still gonna be a lot. As Niorra now is behind, right? Like, it's funny how this happens. Like, Iron was behind after the Limgrave Tunnel because of Smaragd, and then because of the Theodorix fight, and because of slightly better pathing and a faster Royal Revenant fight as well in this Everjail, Iron is now ahead. (15-14) is the score, ahead in map progression and ahead in the score. Yeah, I think Rumbler makes a good point here. The fact that you don't want to skip things that do not take that much time and then have your opponent find something insane. But I want to say that the build here is really crazy, you know? Like, I don't think, like, the chances of finding something is just, they're very low. We saw a match between Ovarida and Engsmaster a couple of rounds ago in the lower bracket. Ovarida picked up a random item here in Weeping, and he got a Great Mace, which served as his power stance Great Hammer, right? Fantastic Great Hammer at that as well. And that is huge, because obviously he was able to output a lot more damage in that matchup. But the thing is, he was looting while he knew he only had one weapon. Like, there was a lot of stuff. There were a lot of things that he could actually still find to improve his build. So he did an extra item pickup like that. Right now, there are not that many here, and not that many really, really important ones, you know, like build-defining ones. Like, there's not a weapon that you're gonna find, probably, that you're gonna be insanely excited to switch to. Even if you replace one of your power stance weapons, like, you're probably still gonna be like, okay, if there's something better, maybe I improved my damage by 2%. Wow, that's a big deal, you know? All right, let's see if the routing diverges here a little bit. Iron is going to be taking this Grace closer to the Night Bosses. He's immediately going to head over to the Night Bosses. As Niorra is actually going to be heading over into the Tombsword Catacombs. This is exactly, yeah, he picks up these items. This is exactly where Ovarda found that Great Mace. However, no such luck for Niorra. And as I said, it wouldn't really change the pace of this matchup at all. I do like Niorra's routing heal a little bit better. Obviously, he gets to the merchant sooner for Iron, which can be potentially nice. He finds the Great Mace as well, just as I talk about it. And now he's going to be fighting the Commander Neol here with the 2 summons. Nice use of a consumable, of a throwable to bait one of the minions. And his damage is really, really good. Iron's that is. He's able to clear the minions before much happens even. Now he's trying to get some extra damage in before the phase transition. Blocks the AoE. Nicely done there instead of trying to roll it. As we have Astel showing up for Niorra. Trying to get really nice and close. He's not fully hitting with his weapons, I'm pretty sure. Otherwise that damage was tragic. Astel is quite tanky. Godric's Great Rune found for Aaron, who's making progress down towards the second Night Boss here in Weeping. There we go, that's the full hit. That's what we are looking for. Astel goes down. Oh, and now a Deathbird for Aaron. He is not wielding the correct power stance combo right now, so he will be missing out on some damage compared to wielding the Sunflower and another strike weapon as well. And I was talking about how I like Niorra's routing here a little bit more. The main reason is you get to pick up an extra flask, basically for free. You will be at +3 that way, and I think that's good enough to kind of carry you through the entire match. Niorra is already at +2, while Aaron is only at +1 at the moment. And it's also a little bit faster, I believe, actually. A little bit quicker to use the Tombsword Catacomb as kind of your hub rather than coming back there later. The difference isn't big, though. Contour Radan can show up as any randomized boss anywhere. Yeah, I mean, if you get a high-scoring seed, 80 plus, it will depend on if they find Dectus, I think, with these Graces, because Leyndell is obviously good. It's going to help a lot with Altos access if you don't have Dectus, but it still is going to lose time. It saves time over Precipice, but it is going to lose time over just finding Dectus. Forbidden Lands can serve as one extra kill, potentially. Okay, Godric's Great Rune going to be swapped to here by Aaron. Does not like Morgoth's. He wants the extra stats. But that extra endurance will potentially allow him to equip some extra armor as well. A nice analysis from Rumbler as well. I do believe that you're right, that going to early Dragon Barrow here is not as beneficial because, I mean, right now, bolters are power stancing weapons that you cannot really make heavy, right? And you cannot make both of them heavy. So having those extra strength levels is actually not going to be as big of a damage boost for either of them. So you're not going to get an advantage over your opponent by going there early. And in fact, if you go there later, you will have more stats by then. You will be more powerful. Maybe you're going to find some pieces of the build that will make you even stronger. And when that happens, you're going to be able to blast through Dragon Barrow quicker than your opponent who went there a little bit earlier. So I think that's a fair analysis there. Oh, nice headshots. Niorra gonna get a really quick kill here on this Deathrite bird. Nicely done. As we have Urchi Avatar now in these Tombsword Catacombs. Very quick kill as well for Aaron with his fire damage. Yeah, it's just the nature of the build and the power level that they have very early on kind of does not warrant that early Dragon Barrow. Now, you might do Dragon Barrow before Altus if you have a Dectus half, and because the chances of both Dectus halves being in Dragon Barrow, chances are kind of low. But if you do have a Deathless half, I think you could warrant going into Dragon Barrel simply because you're gonna get a really nice advantage from that. If your opponent goes Dragon Barrel later than Altus, then yeah. But if you find Deathless, I think Dragon Barrel after Altus makes a lot of sense. Yeah, he's streaming from Forsa's place because he was attending an event that is very close to Forsa. And so Niorra, instead of, you know, delaying this match a little bit further and giving us DRL, you know, later than today, he is simply playing from Forsa's place. So we'll see if he was able to. It's like, I would be very curious because sometimes there are settings that players change. For example, the behavior of the camera and cinematic effects and stuff like that. I would be very interested to hear if Niorra was able to actually set up his game correctly, you know, and if he was able to play to his max potential in this different setup and stuff like that. But right now, 2 Great Hammers actually picked up for Niorra, who's gonna be switching to them right now. Large Club and the Great Mace. I mean, this is where, like, in theory now, that heavy scaling could help. Right, if you get those extra strength levels. Now, does it warrant early Dragon Barrel or early-ish Dragon Barrel? I still don't think so. But those are weapons that he can change the Ash of War on, he can change the affinity on, and both of them are strike. Great Hammers, fantastic poise damage as well. Do not consume as much stamina as the Colossals do. Many options for power stances in this seed, like, I always talk about, you know, and my guests on the broadcast have brought it up as well a few times, that there are a lot of different skills that are being tested here in DRL. Now, a lot of the fighting is a little trivial because you can see how much damage you deal for, like, the most part, you know, almost throughout the entire match. There are some clutch fights that you need to be able to pull out, but other than that, the fighting isn't really the most important, especially because clean fighting is not rewarded. It's more rewarding to try and, you know, YOLO as much as possible. It's more rewarding to trade with bosses and stuff like that and use your health bar as a resource for speed. But there are other skills that are being tested, and one of them is definitely build crafting, and we saw that with Rambler, who was able to, I believe that was against Niorra actually, who was able to put up much stronger builds because of the heavy scaling being weaker than the holy scaling that Rambler was actually using. And both players had this access to the same tools, and Niorra just went with the classic heavy route, as he's getting blocked by this worm. And Rambler basically putting together a nice holy build with the physic, with the talisman, with the affinities, with the black, you know, great steel, or black steel great hammer rather. So there are other skills that are also being tested, and I think, you know, coming back to my original point as I got slightly sidetracked there, in this seed, because you have so many weapons that are viable to be used, like, how do you even choose which ones to use? And then in the moment, you have to recognize, oh, I'm fighting a Deathbird, I need to, like, swap to a holy weapon, you know, which would be the Sunflower. Stuff like that. It's like, it is quite tricky. I do think that it's a tricky seed in that regard, as now we have a dual boss fight for Iron, Crystallion, and Mad Pumpkin. Iron does get rotted, doesn't matter, he kills them just a little bit too fast. He's gonna peace out, double checks how much stuff he has done in Limgrave, what he still has left. Now, at the Growside Cave, that one was already done by Niorra, as Niorra is closely following Iron's footsteps by now again. After the little bit of a divergence in routing through Weeping, both players going for the same stuff, and Iron steadily building more of a lead. I mean, he's going to be at 24 boss kills soon to 22, with a lot of the same stuff done. Kinda, would you feel comfortable playing such a high skill event from someone else's place? With Elden Ring, yes. Something like Mirror's Edge, right, which I have a lot of experience in as well, I can say no. As Iron now is going to go for Stormfoot Catacombs rather early. That is an interesting check to do, as one of the, you know, checks that is a little bit less efficient. We don't have any Deathless half for either players so far. And Niorra leaves Limgrave behind. He's done with Limgrave. He's going to be heading over into Liurnia. Also swapping to the Godric's Great Rune. And he's going to be changing the Ashes of War now, yeah, and making his Great Hammers both heavy. So we'll see how the damage actually stacks up, especially once Niorra, you know, gets to activate this Great Rune. And once Niorra gets a little bit more strength pump into his character. Even now, the Great Hammers are very weak compared to the Colossus, but you get more armor and safety out of them. That makes sense. I wouldn't say that right now the setup for Iron looks unsafe, though. He's doing a really good job overall. There's the Rune Arc activation. As the first boss in Liurnia goes down, score is now 24-23. That is because, obviously, this Adan kill, this Adan replacement kill, is much faster to get to compared to what Iron is doing. Stormfoot Catacomb. Interesting to do it this early. Some players talk about how they like to finish up regions so that they can, you know, kind of stop thinking about them. Not have to think about the fact that, oh, I have this one-off check here, this one-off check here at the very end of the match. Instead, they will try to do an entire region in its entirety at once. Because now we have Onzi. It is Limgrave Onzi, so it shouldn't be as bad. Iron is notoriously known for having a really good Onzi fight. He doesn't really have to showcase it here because the fight is rather quick. And score now 25-23 as we have Falling Star Beast in this last Runes chain for Niorra. But yeah, I was gonna make a point about streaming from someone else's place or playing from a different place. I mean, I've done that plenty, simply because of, you know, attending a lot of speedrunning marathons, so I have done high-level gameplay, 2-player, 1-controller gameplay, with setups that are completely different than mine. Even sometimes in hardware performance, like specifically at the ESA, sometimes the computers are not really holding up to some of the modern games. I would say that something like Mirror's Edge, where, you know, you're playing an FPS parkour game and you're using mouse and keyboard and you really need to have your good mouse setup and everything like that, and potentially, you know, your monitor, your refresh rate, all that stuff, or like playing Counter-Strike or something, I think there it needs to be perfect. Something like Elden Ring, where it is way less about execution, way more about knowledge, and you're playing on a controller for the most part, as both these players are, I don't think it's as big of a deal to actually stream from someone else's place. That said, let's get back to the match. We found the first Deathless half for Niorra from that Falling Star Beast, so he's at one of them. Both players will be able to get this one, obviously. And Niorra, continuing this chain, actually finds himself finding a Mimic, as he gets to see it ahead of time, gets to just unequip all of his gear, and will be now getting the fight done rather swiftly. Same can be said for Iron, who went to the Soldier of Godric replacement. That was a Demi-Human Queen. He got the kill, and I think his next place of destination is actually gonna be... I think it is probably gonna be lower Drovel Kaled, as he's also making the Great Hammers that he found heavy. So, like, both players have the access to the same tools, and you can see that Iron is now swapping to the same weapon setup as well. The Great Mace and the Great Hammer. Not the Great Hammer, the large club. Both players with the same weapon setup. Interesting. Hello, Mewtwo, by the way. What's up? Hello, Alisco. How's it going? Now, Iron is not a keyboard and mouse player. You might think that because he uses his mouse very often to warp on the map menu, right? He uses the cursor there to try and eke out an advantage. That can be really nice for a format like this where your graces are inconsistent, so that also means your menu changes. Like, I still think using the menu is probably the fastest way if you have it memorized, right? If you roughly know where things are. Pressing L1, R1, D-pad, like, it's very quick to kind of get through. But in a format like this with extra graces, and sometimes you skip a grace or whatever, I think using the mouse cursor makes a lot of sense, as we see a really nice execution there on the Celia Crystal Tunnel skip. For Iron, he had to deal with the Miranda Flowers AoE as well, but able to avoid it nicely. And yeah, both players going for this double Great Hammer setup. Gonna be trying to maximize the armor that they can keep, and maybe that's the play. Maybe the play for Iron is hey, I'm entering a higher scaled region at the moment. So I'm gonna switch to these Great Hammers that are really good as well. You know, now I've gotten a little bit of strength, so these heavy affinities are gonna put in some work. And I can equip a little bit of extra armor and have a little bit of extra safety to, you know, trade with the bosses rather than have to dodge their attacks. And at the same time, he was going for the Colossal setup in the earlier stage of the match in Limgrave because he knew there was not that much immediate danger. Right now, score is tied. Niorra was briefly in the lead as he's progressing through Liurnia. Niorra, again, choosing not to go for Eastern Liurnia setup. The one that has been fairly popular with players where you go over Church of Vows. He finds the Halleck Tree Medallion half, so that means no roundtable for him anymore. Then again, he's done everything that he kind of needed to. Oh, Iron in a little bit of trouble. This is a little scary. Yeah, the AoE from the Tree Sentinel. Hitting him there on the ladder. We saw one death in the competition at exactly this place before, courtesy of Lazy Helios. Luckily for Iron this time, his stamina bar holding up. He was not thrown off the ladder. He will be able to avoid the Avatar and head over to Nox Duo, actually. Meteor gonna be the fight here. Our build should be able to kind of keep up. Yeah, nice stagger there, trying to hit the weak points. The weak point, rather, doesn't even have to go for a riposte. Immediately gets the kill off. Ties the score again. Yeah, Niorra was able to get a little bit of a lead simply because the areas that he was going through, they were a little bit more efficient in the moment. Well, Iron had to make progress here to this lower Kaled area, but now that he's here, he will probably be able to overtake Niorra again, simply because this is one of the most efficient, boss-dense areas in the entire run. As Niorra kills Fire Giant phase 1, and we have a triple fight here with Siluria. I think the Perfumer and a Rotten Crystallion. Luckily, it seems that Iron was able to aggro on the Siluria at the moment. Gets the kill before the phase transition can fully realize as well. As we, on the right side of your screen, can see Niorra heading over to the same location now of Lower Kaled. 1v1 for Iron, 2 strike weapons, no chance for the Crystallion. 29-29 is going to be the score. Oh, and that's another Dectus half, so we will be seeing a full Dectus half completion for both these players, because these are checks that neither player is going to skip. So this suddenly does give this seed a little bit of potential. Because the extra graces, as we talked about, were not that useful, but right now, having full Dectus means you can get to Altus really, really quickly. The setup for this is really quick in terms of the build. Niorra gonna wait out the AoE first. Gonna go for the Celiac Crystal Tunnel skip as well. Hits the first part just barely, but he does hit it. Hits the second part as well. Nicely done. Neither player having any issues with that skip. Great. That is fantastic. You love to see it. Knight's Cavalry gonna be the next boss here in Lower Kaled. You have about 3 more bosses left here after this one. As Iron gets a fat 30 right now at 45-12. Saving a hit as well on that, that's interesting, right? Because we got a direct comparison of damage there, as Falx is picked up from this Merchant by Iron. That could potentially be a weapon of choice in some circumstances as well. We saw it in one of the matches here. Between, I think it was Iron and Roman, actually, in the upper bracket. Tree Spirit, the next fight. But yeah, I was gonna say, on the Tibia Mariner, we saw a direct comparison in damage between the two competitors, and Niorra was able to actually save an attack, save an R1. So his damage is just slightly higher at the moment. And that's, you know, about 2 seconds, maybe a little bit less than 2 seconds saved, as Niorra not having much of an issue with the avatar just yet. Ralva gonna be replacing Exikes. That's a DLC boss replacing one of the tankiest bosses here in Lower Kaled. As you can see, it is surviving a little bit longer, but it's not gonna survive long enough to actually get through the stagger. And when does Iron go now? Iron probably gonna be picking up this Grace in the near vicinity, so that if time allows it in the late game, he will try and make it to the jail cave. Now he's gonna head over to the Kaled Catacombs. Yeah, that's definitely a setup for jail cave there, as he basically chose to lose a little bit of time on this Kaled Catacomb, probably recognizing that, you know, this is looking like a quick seed in his eyes. So he thinks that setting up an extra check for later is probably worth it, as opposed to having the most efficient running section here to the Kaled Catacomb. All right, the Slippery Branch. Nicely done by Iron, not taking any damage as well. Niorra now fighting Siluria one-on-one as well. I don't think Siluria is particularly difficult, but I think that what you guys talk about with the Perfumer, that would have been a little concerning, right? Because the Perfumer can end up buffing Siluria, and then what happens is that she will always be able to withstand the hit, thanks to the Opaline Bubble Tier, and you don't want to see that. There we go, full deck test for Niorra. The first player to know it. I don't think in this particular moment it is going to change his routing decisions that much, because he still has a lot of Liurnia left, so there would have been, you know, quite a few checks for him to still do before deciding, okay, this is not a deck to seed, I'm just going to head to Altus through Lanedale. As Kaled Catacombs are housing two Crystallians on the left, score is now tied 32-32. Perfect setup for this. Two strike weapons, no chance for Crystallian number 1. Crystallian number 2 a little bit tankier. Good roll for Iron though. Third attack gets the job done. That is Lower Kaled basically cleared for the time being for Iron, who's now heading over to Liurnia for the first time. And he's gonna start with Stillwater Cave. Iron, like the only player that I have seen do this, he likes to run through the poisoned section. Here in the Stillwater Cave, there's a lot of enemies in this cave. People, rightfully so, they do not like this cave because it can be quite tricky if the enemies are randomized to something dangerous. And especially if you fall to that poisonous swamp, there's even more enemies down there rather than on the above, on the floor above. But Iron, in order to eke out a couple of seconds, we have seen him jump into the poison pool, so let's see if he does it again. Okay, right now he's actually, yeah, here he stays on the upper part as a Fire Prelate is trying to snipe him. Okay, no, Iron gonna be sticking to the upper floor this time. Not risking it. I think that's a wise choice. And there's the Energy Untouchable. Let's see if he gets the teleport off, or if there was a loss of sight. The sight line was indeed broken, so the Aging Untouchable actually not aggroing or not teleporting correctly after aggroing. And so hopefully Iron will be able to get to this boss fight without any shenanigans occurring behind him. Laravel, not going to be a problem at all. 2 jump attacks, get the job done. Ralva now on the right side. Let's see how Niorra's fight goes. Oh, huge stagger there. I don't know where that damage came from. That was insane. I don't know if that was some kind of a double hit shenanigan. And Niorra, wait. Niorra, okay, this is really interesting. So, Niorra not taking the Grace there to set up Gel Cave for later. He already has the knowledge that this is a full Dectus seed. He already has the knowledge that this is a full Dectus seed, and he's not even doing Kaled Catacombs right now. So I wonder what his play is going to be like, because I think that with this kind of play, maybe you're actually running out of bosses in the late game. And this is something that we talked about in his previous match against Rumbler. The fact that with his routing, he might just like run out of bosses in the late game, but because he skipped a couple of things. But he managed it. He did manage it. Hippo gonna be replacing the Deathrite Bird, as in the meantime we see Iron heading over to the Third Church of Marika. Is this a sign of early Dragon? Well, I say early, we are almost halfway through the match. Is this a sign of Dragon Barrow entrance? Or is this a sign of simply making map progression and getting a +2 flask? We will see. On Leyndell and Forbidden Lands, running out of bosses isn't that scary. I guess that's actually a good point, yeah, that Leyndell does house a couple of boss fights as well. You have the Spirit Godfrey, and then you also have Morgoth, and Morgoth doubles as a double fight, because if you skip Margit early on and kill Morgoth, Margit dies in the game as well, and you get an extra point. Both players are losing rather 20 to 25% damage not using the Colossal setup. That is kind of crazy. Didn't realize that the Colossals will be that much stronger, but I wonder if that's going to change with more strength levels being put in, right? Because you can make these weapons heavy, meanwhile the Colossals couldn't be heavy. We'll see. Leyndell and Forbidden Lands are extra graces that the players start with. They always start with the first step grace. They also start with the grace at the beginning of Liurnia, and then every match gets 2 extra graces as well from a random pool. Okay, Iron, he got his flask upgrade. He decided to peace out. He's not going to Dragon Barrow just yet. I think that's actually a wise play with his pace. I think that you've done quite a lot of things right now. Your build is good enough. I don't think you need that early Dragon Barrow. And Iron is returning to Liurnia, as Niorra now going to be heading over to Pelham Highway. He did do the chain through Ichi. He did kill Tibia Mariner, who replaced the Royal Revenant. So now he's doing a lot of map progression. Gonna be heading over to the Deathless Lift. That will give him access right now on Pelham Highway to a Merchant, to another Sacred Tier. That will make his Flask +4. I think he'll be quite comfortable with that. And then he gets to go to, of course, that Night Boss here. And he also gets to go to Northeastern Liurnia, which houses 3 more bosses. In the Black Knife Catacombs there are 2, and then you have the Erdtree Avatar replacement as well. Let's see what the routing is going to be like for Niorra right now. He's not even picking up a grace there. I think he wants to go directly northeast. Interesting. Gonna kill the Night Boss replacement. And then go northeast Liurnia. This is going to be BBK that he'll have to deal with. BBK patrolling around, wandered quite a bit away from the other enemies that are normally on this highway. Score is now tied 37-37. Strike damage very good against the Blackblade Kindred. They're weak to strike and magic. As you can see, very quick fight there for Niorra. Despite being in Liurnia, he takes the lead again, as we have a very close matchup on our hands. Tabanya, how's it going? Hello, Helios. How you doing, dude? Deck this halves is Lakeside Crystal Cave and Lower Kaled as well. So Iron is gonna find... I say Lakeside Crystal Cave, I mean the Laskia Runes Chain. The FSB there. Both players will have access to it. It is virtually unmissable, as Iron gets another kill here on the Black Knife Assassin. Gonna be heading over to the Roads and Catacombs. His screen cluttered with pop-ups. He finds Lera's armor, which is interesting. Obviously, both players are jump attacking, but Lera's armor does boost your running attacks. Iron trying to swap to it, but he went mid-air. As Niorra is making his way over to this northeastern side, as I predicted. Roads and Catacomb we have not seen yet. What's up, Necra? Why are the timers off by 20 seconds? Because it's in-game time. So, different number of load screens, different length of load screens. Simple as that. 20 seconds is actually fairly close. And as we have seen players diverge in their routing, their in-game times are going to diverge as well. Iron using a jump attack there mid-air to clear out that illusory wall. Nicely done. Renala, particularly her first phase, replacing the Searchy avatar. None of the enemies are aggroing, which is definitely good for Niorra. What isn't good for Niorra is that RNG, immediate moon. He gets hit by the moon as well. Could have tried to at least play a little bit more aggressively there, but it's the jars that are around him. Cemetery Shade, in the meantime, goes down without any kind of a hassle for Iron. Magic defense now is lowered for Niorra, who has to deal with the first summon. That's going to be the Bloodhound Knight. And he's about to maybe get comboed! Oh my god, 1 HP! He survives again! That's the second time that Niorra survives with 1 HP. I could see it coming from a mile away as soon as I saw the comet attack. Aggressive play from Niorra does get the kill on Renala in the end. None of the other enemies actually got involved. It was just the summons. But Niorra does get the kill. 39 to 39. We are tied on the score. No, we don't have the match between Forsa and Roman Jack hasn't happened yet. This is the lower bracket quarterfinals. We have winners finals. We have lower bracket quarterfinals, lower bracket semifinals, lower bracket finals, and grand finals. No one's in the grand finals just yet. Okay, Niorra now. Black Knife Catacombs. Meanwhile, Iron actually going back to the Gale Tunnel. Very low scale for Kaled, so it should be a quick check. Sometimes there's a little bit of danger in terms of gravity here because of this drop in particular. Let's look at Black Knife Catacombs on the right side of your screens, though. Sometimes this one can be a really tricky one because you are trying to get on this cleaver, but Niorra gets it first try. None of the enemies actually interrupt him. It's very easy to get cornered there. It's very easy to get trapped under the cleaver because of the enemies. So you'll have to see the fact that the RNG in this cave is actually in the player's favor right now. Crafted Scion. Gonna be replacing the first boss in this catacomb. Niorra just face tanking, makes sense. Took no damage from the Scream. And we have the scariest boss here. Soldier of Godric, who does not get one shot. I think that might have not been a full hit. However, he does get killed with the next follow-up attack. And that was a very quick fight, unsurprisingly, for Iron. Is now clearing out more of this upper Kaled, gonna be heading over to the Putrid Avatar replacement. He obviously had this map progression from earlier when he went to Dragon Barrow West to the Merchant. Didn't find anything particularly good there, except for the Great Omen Killer Cleaver, but neither player, or rather he's not choosing to use it. He will go ahead and fight another Deathbird. He was looking to maybe switch to the Sunflower, not enough time for it though. In the end, this is double strike weapon anyway, the damage is really good. Let's get the kill. 42 is his score. And I don't think you can, really talk about pace comparatively because every single player has slightly different routing and slightly different thresholds. But I have heard multiple times that 40 at 1 hour mark is a pretty good pace. Right now, Aaron most likely going to be getting a 43 at the 1 hour mark, which is incredible. Niorra at the same time having a lot of map progression done here in Liurnia, going to be heading into Altus. He also would have definitely gotten a 42 if he did more boss kill oriented routing so far. So both players having a really good pace, but I think it's safe to say that Aaron is still in the lead. Also the Tree Spirit causing a little bit of havoc here. I'm gonna get grabbed. Nicely timed roll. It wasn't necessary, but nicely timed. I think that was pretty accurate there. Niorra's heading over to Altus. We'll see what actually awaits the players there. Yeah, the right Dectus half will be picked up by Iron. It's at the Scenic Isle Grace in Niorra. Mesmer, second phase being the first boss for Iron. I say second boss. What am I talking about? Second phase being the boss for Iron. Okay, nice strafe there, baiting out the good attack. Does get the kill before the follow-up where Mesmer kind of dashes past you. That was beautifully done. Attacked the snake at the very beginning. That was really, really good. As Niorra is now heading over to the Gillica replacement here, and Alta is going to be the first Alta's boss. Now, this one is very low scaled, so it doesn't matter as much that we are in Altas, but let's see who it is. And it is going to be Valiant Gargoyles. Annoying arena for this fight. The damage looked awful, but that's because that was a partial hit. There's the full one. Much better damage. As we have Dragon Barrow West boss being fought by Iron, and Iron's going to have to deal with Beastman of Fire Missoula. 1v1 in this Gargoyle fight now for Niorra at the same time. Love to see that, as Iron has to be a little bit careful with the Cleaver guy. And with the Boomerang guy as well. He does manage to get behind the shack, so right now the ranged attacks from the other Beastmen should not be able to hit him. Perfectly done there. Now it's just one-on-one action. The poise... Uh-oh. I was gonna say, the poise on this guy very low. Once you get a hit in, you'll probably get the kill. But, Iron taking a double hit there on Torrens. Does get the kill eventually. 44 to 42. Yeah, the Poison Cloud works a little bit different because Valiant Gargoyles can show up in any arena. The Poison Cloud does not tick after the initial tick. So it will poison you, but it's not going to keep on damaging you. Makes it a lot more palatable to actually go for the kills here. As Niorra is now heading over to Godfroy. Didn't go to the highway. I'm not sure what was there. He took a little bit of a different path for sure from the Altus Plateau Grace. There's a drop that would otherwise be faster, as right now he picked up the item, which costs him the chance to jump up over that Finger Creeper. A little bit of a time loss there, nothing great though. And Hughes Evergel gonna be on the left side of your screen. Or Iron. Let's see how this goes. Radagon, weak to strike. Oh my god, dude, okay. Build is putting out damage. It is putting out damage. Tree Sentinel replacing Godfroy. That's a boss you're probably happy to see. Godfroy can be quite tanky, rather than Godfroy... well, Godfroy himself too, but the replacements as well, so... Having a boss that isn't particularly dangerous, I think, is good. And we will now see Abandoned Cave from Iron as well. Let's see if he can get through it safely. There's a lot of enemies normally in there that have higher ground, so he might be in a little bit of trouble if they're ranged particularly. Do they have anything for undead enemies? I mean, they have the Sunflower, which at least has holy damage. Oh, Iron having a little bit of an incident there with the backstep as well. Didn't get the pivot backstep, but not costing him like it did to my friend Pearl. Sage's Cave skip. Well, skip to Sage's Cave by Niorra on the right side. He's heading over for this double cave. Very, very quick. Two fights right next to each other. Gets down safely, no problem. Going for actual Sage's Cave would be crazy, so I don't think we'll be seeing that. No Grace also tells me that he is definitely not going to be heading over to the Unsightly Catacombs after that. So Niorra mostly going for the, so far, the most efficient checks that you have on the map. While Iron going for a lot of extra stuff as well. He's going to be fighting Alektor. She's quite tanky always. Despite Abandoned Cave not really being the highest scaling. Even though this is part of Dragon Barrow, it has Kalit scaling instead. Same with that Evergel with Hughes. Nice kill for Iron. Does get the 46. Gonna be heading over back to Liurnia. Probably Edan first. Lasky RK ruins after. Okay, he's actually going to be heading over to the Lakeside Crystal Cave. Yeah, Hand of Millennia and Gaius Weapon are free, basically, for that skip. Aaron doesn't have the Deathless half, but I wonder if he's doing all of this because he knows the pace is good and he does not want to potentially commit. Well, but if you're going to do Church of Vows, you kind of want to get to Church of Vows anyway. Like, I assume that you should just do Lakeside, the Laskia Runes chain a little bit sooner. But, like, it doesn't really matter, right? As long as it doesn't make any rash decisions. Speaking of dead enemies, there's a Deathrite Bird. This double strike weapon not really needing a replacement. Very quick kill there. That was the second boss of Sage's Cave already. 45 now, the score for Niorra. Yeah, but you're not gonna search for Deathless in like these one-offs, I think. Like, you're gonna be searching for Deathless after you've done the chains that you always do. So this is literally just, I don't think this has anything to do with Deathless. I think this just has to do with the fact that he knows this is a good pace and he's just gonna go for these kills regardless. And then the order doesn't matter really. Now he's gonna go for Laskia Ruins. He's gonna figure out that this is where Deathless is and that he is in fact on a really, really good pace. Yeah, this is super early Altus for Niorra. I mean, Niorra had trouble in the past going into Altus a little bit too late, fishing for Deathless a little bit too long. Now, obviously, you are not fishing for Deathless here because you kind of got it for free. Both players are gonna. But like, why not? Why not get Altus out of the way? Like, you're not gonna get that much more powerful from killing a lot of the lower level stuff. And at the same time, if you do Altus early and then come back to some of the lower level stuff, ooh, the interrupt there from Aaron. Oh my god, that is a fantastic fucking fight there on the left side of your screens for Aaron, who saves a lot of time over Niorra, who had to withstand that entire charge back and forth. Full Deathless acquired. But yeah, I was saying, for Niorra, you know, when he comes back to some of these one-offs like Lakeside Crystal Cave, I mean, he will potentially be a little bit more powerful. Uh-oh. It's probably not that good. Yeah, because the Dragonkin dropping into this arena actually broke all of the barrels here in Old Altus Tunnel. That is so funny. That is so funny. Broke all the tunnels, barrels rather, and so the explosive clumps were actually not gonna do anything. A little bit unfortunate there. Niorra still tried though. Yo, Sci-Fi, what's up, dude? Thanks for the raid. How's it going? Okay, Mimic gonna be the next opponent for Aaron. He's taken off his defensive talismans, kept the armor, but took off his weapons and the defensive talisman as well. Very quick kill. Now, Tibia Mariner, we will see if... I mean, I have no doubt that Aaron is gonna go for Church of Vows. Like, you gotta have to, you know, with this pace. Just get that extra boss, I think. Running randos and playing meme bingo formats. That does sound pretty fun. I hope that you had a good day. Oh, you're going to bed just now? What the fuck is your schedule, bro? That's crazy. Okay, Tree Spirits causing a little bit of havoc there. Aaron was trying to chase it as much as possible. Misses another one as well. It was a good time. I'm happy to hear that, dude. 6 a.m. bedtime. That is crazy. Well, I wish that you have a good night or good morning. Sleep well, dude. Thank you for the raid again. Appreciate that. The eternal question, do I take out Mimic's armor but give it light roll, or do I keep the armor and loop it better but slower? Yeah, I think that Aaron's play ended up being really good there. He was still dealing really, really good damage, and Mimic did not have the light roll. Then again, for Niorra, it wasn't really much of a problem either, and he did the other approach. He also took off his armor. Right now, it's 3 p.m. for me. 3:15. So I am 9 hours away from Sai. Which means he must be on the west coast of the US. Hey, what's up, Denny? How's it going? I live in Germany. Okay, Aaron, in fact, indeed, heading over with his Fat 50, heading over to the Church of Vows, while Niorra is heading over now to the Windmill Village. He continued the chain. He didn't go to Warmface. Gonna treat Warmface and the Crystallian Tunnel as a chain in its entirety as well. As both players have been playing really, really clean. Aaron's pace being one of the highest that we have seen throughout the tournament so far. Again, that doesn't mean he's playing like a madman. Even though he is, it doesn't have to mean it though, because every seed is different, right? So it's gonna be talking to Miriel now, getting this Bellbearing Hunter replacement to spawn. Let's see what this Windmill Village Godskin Apostle replacement is. Turns out to be Duelist. Okay, a little bit of an off-angle jump attack there for Niorra. Didn't get a full hit. Does get the kill now. It's going to be doing more map progression here in Altus. First heading over probably to the Merchant, and then he's going to head over from the Merchant to the Rampart side area with the Black Knife and Lanciax. I don't think he's killed Tibia Mariner either yet. Okay, this is interesting for Aaron. He's trying to face tank some of the attacks. He was trying to get an extra punish, but he took half his health for it. Let's get a jump attack there, just barely. Gets stepped on as well, and this is a little bit of a problem with Horalu. Nice dodge, does not get clipped by the follow-up at all. That's really, really good. Manages to heal back up. A little bit of a scary moment there, but he does get the kill, in fact. No, this is in-game time. It's 2 hours in-game time for both players, because that's the most, that's the fairest way to compare two players. Score right now 51-48, as Aaron is going to be doing this Mausoleum Compound parkour in order to get to the Bellum Highway. And I do like to see that, because I do think that this routing ends up being faster, and you get that extra boss as well, which on a pace as good as this is quite good. Now, for Niorra, it's not as risky to, you know, skip this, because that one extra boss is not going to have a Dectus half, because he had already completed collecting the Dectus halves, so... Even though I think he actually made the decision earlier on. He decided just to not do this routing. It's just not his style. It's not what he has prepared. Okay, now the Altus Merchant. Does he have anything special? Not really. Niorra buying a Somber Stone. No idea what that was for. Hey, what's up, Yita? How's it going, dude? Good to see you. Okay, another Deathrite Bird gonna be inhabiting this shack. This could be a little bit scary if it does the big AoE explosion, but he chooses not to, and Niorra does get the stagger on time. Let's see how this Renala fight goes. We have an instant moon as well for Iron, so far the RNG is about the same. Iron cleverly using that pot on the ground to actually explode the moon a little bit sooner, not have to deal with it. Right now, he's in a little bit of a predicament, though, taking a beating there. That's two bosses in a row that are being a little bit problematic for Iron. Needs to get his head back into the game. But so far, no summoning as well. Oh, there it is. There's the first summon. It is going to be the troll, which means that Renala is going to teleport away, and this fight also taking a little bit of a moment. Does get the kill in the end. Gonna have to deal with the blast projectiles. That's so successfully gonna progress now towards the Black Knife Catacomb. Meanwhile, Godfroy gonna be replacing the Deathbird here in Altus Plateau. The enemies seem to be quite chill around. Godfroy also leashed himself further away from his initial starting area, so that's really, really good. Nicely done. DTS, gonna be the next fight for Niorra, who's gonna actually finish this entire chain, and then probably head over to Rampart side. While Iron, before getting to Altus, he's heading over to this Black Knife Catacomb. Now, you usually get a little nervous as a player entering these, but we know as spectators that there's nothing in particular that could be dangerous. Freya's Greatsword, probably an irrelevant pickup. Swapping some talismans for more defensive ones as well, just in case. Miranda Flower gonna be the DTS replacement. Nicely baiting the AoE is Niorra. Gets a stagger already. Probably 2 more jump attacks will get the job done here. Perfect stamina management as well. Can do the 2 attacks just in time. Perfect. And now he's gonna head over to the Rampart side. Meanwhile, Iron, with a 1-point lead over Niorra, gonna be heading over to the first fight here, which we know is Grafted Scion. No, Yita, the rings do not stack. It's literally impossible in the game's code. Very quick fight for Iron. It's just so interesting to me that both players, you know, sticking with the same setup. I mean, probably thinking that the Great Hammers are just the best combination of being able to equip armor, not needing as much stamina. You know, they're not as heavy, so that's why the armor. And speaking of heavy, they have been able to apply the heavy affinities to them, so they just probably think that the damage is good enough. Just to remind you, they also do have options with Colossals, multiple Colossals in fact, but neither player sticking with them. So Iron used them in Limgrave. My theory is that while he was in Limgrave, he didn't need the extra safety, so he played with the Colossals and ran around naked. But now that he's a little bit later on, he wants that extra poise, and he does want a little bit of that physical defense. And so ever since Lower Kaled, he has been using these Great Hammers as well as Niorra. Nice skip. That's another thing as well. Iron does go for some of these smaller skips around the academy. The pillar on the other side in the early stages of the match. And also this little drop on the rock right now while Niorra decides to skip them, which is fair enough. I mean, 1 death can absolutely throw your entire match. Iron is in the lead. Iron has been faster than Niorra so far. But if Iron died, you know, to that skip just randomly, then suddenly it's Niorra's game to lose. So I can completely understand deciding not to save a few seconds here and there and playing it a little bit safer. We've seen that from Niorra all competition long. Meanwhile, Iron going for just about everything for now. Except for that Poison Swamp in Stillwater, I suppose. Alright, Crucible Knight replacing Lanciax. Probably not super happy to see that. Oh, he gets hit by the Environmental Lightning as well. Crucible Knight, that is pretty funny. This is the highest skilled boss they're gonna find in the open world here in Altus. Lanciax, that is. So finding a Crucible Knight here can be a little bit scary, but Niorra does get the job done eventually. Overall, nice kill, to be honest. 55 to 53 is the score. As we are currently 75 minutes into the match on Iron's screen. Niorra, with all that extra running, a little bit less warping, has gone ahead in terms of in-game time as well. Perfumer's Grotto is the next destination for Niorra. After that, he will probably head over to the Tree Sentinel Duo and the Falling Star Beast. Iron now going for this parkour over to Bellum Highway. Zero issues there. Gonna find BBK shortly. I'm curious about where BBK is gonna be because it is not nighttime. I wonder if it has actually managed to patrol really far away from the rest of the enemies, and in fact that is exactly the case. Very quick kill, 57th. Now it's a 4-point discrepancy. Now that Iron has gone through this really efficient northeastern area of Liurnia. Renala second phase, so we have the full Renala fight. One of the students somehow disappeared. And now the hope for Niorra is that he does get a 1 cycle. I think he should be able to do it. Yeah, no problem there. Stamina should be just about enough. Perfect. Okay. Yo, Bogdi, good to see you, dude. It's been a while. Now Iron gonna have to do a little bit of running as well. So even though the score disparity is 3 points right now, I don't think you can say it is necessarily 3 points because both players have done like such different things. It's hard to say if it's less, if it's more, because for Niorra, you know, he's had a lot of this efficient Altus progress. And now he has to actually deal with Wormface and Adan. Adan right now is going to be patrolling to the lower part of the staircase. Niorra gonna play this safe. I mean, Wormface obviously can end your run on a whim if you do get Death Blighted. Nice opener. Great stagger. Really quick kill. Now 1v1 with Adan. How does the rest of the fight go? Let's see. Adan is a poised beast. You have to be a little bit careful, see, with that Wild Strike's finisher. But he's dead already. Okay, nicely done for Niorra. Gonna get the 55th point. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, Niorra has done a lot of efficient things here in Altus, but at the same time, he also did a lot of running around, you know, which Iron is gonna have to do. He's doing it right now. So it's just hard to say exactly what the advantage is. Radam gonna be replacing Falling Star Beast, one gravity enemy for another. The hope here is that you can potentially skip phase 2. I mean, the damage is really good. I guess for Niorra, the main question is, are you gonna be able to stagger? Oh, never mind. You don't even have to worry about that. You do get the stagger, but your damage was already so good that it's all chill. And Niorra are going to be heading over into Lane Dell as we have Valiant Gargoyles on the left side. Missed hit there for Iron. Okay, this can be a little bit scary for Niorra. He's heading over to the Spirit Godfrey. Now, this has the Notorious Branch, which which is inhabited by a lot of enemies, and they are randomized. Sometimes there's something that you simply cannot get over safely. So let's see what's there. Very easy to get thrown off there and just die to gravity. So, okay, right now there's a Finger Creeper that could be a little spooky. You're trying to jump away from him. Wolf. Some other kind of docile enemies, actually. Let's see what's on the second part. More wolves. Finger Creeper trying to get a stagger there. Does not manage to do it. And the rest of the branch looks pretty chill. That's actually really, really nice. Black Knight's Edred from the DLC. Gonna be replacing Spirit Godfrey. As we see Tibia Martyr. Fire Giant phase 2 for Iron. Yeah, we have not seen this one from Niorra just yet. I don't remember if he checked it. I do not remember seeing that. And he decided to skip. He could have also heard potentially, right? This guy does make a little bit of noise. So far, good RNG for Iron. He does not get the fastest fight, but he did not get a roll, and he only got melee attack, so that was really nice. But right now, Fire Giant in a really awkward position inside of these ruins. There might be other enemies that can join the fight momentarily as well. And another roll towards, yeah, the other group of enemies that is normally here. And let's see what Niorra does. Does he go for Morgoth right now and deal with Melina? Yeah, it seems like it. We have seen players try to time it so that this is the last boss that they do in the entire run. And then they have to deal with Melina's dialogue, you know, only at the very end when they wouldn't have been able to do anything else anyway. If you don't know what I'm talking about, is they're gonna kill the Morgoth replacement here, hopefully, which seems to be Miranda Flower and the Virgin Abductor, so this might be a little bit annoying. And after that, they're actually trapped here, right? They have to go touch the thorns, they have to talk to Melina in order to be able to warp out. Nice kill for Iron on the Fire Giant. That could have been a lot worse. He does get 59 right now with just under 40 minutes left. As this Miranda Flower is quite tanky, but not going to be tanky enough for this Power Stance build. And now you will see a double pointer as well for Niorra, because not only did Morgoth die, but Margit too, because both players ended up skipping that one, knowing that they have Lendel available. And that puts him at 59 to 59 right now. The score is tied again between the two players. See, Melina shows up. Gonna be yapping for a while. Olotostan are gonna be the next place for Iron on the left side. We know this is gonna be the Dragonkin Soldier. Are not waiting for the elevator, doing the slightly faster routing. It does mean that he takes a hit. So he is not going to be full HP in the fight. He decides to heal, then suddenly he doesn't really save time anymore. And now Niorra going to be heading over to the upper Kaled. Okay, well, he did still save time. He actually used the drop-off animation to cancel it. Smartly done. Oh, I was saying that the duelist could be two-shot by Niorra as well, but he did miss his first attack, so wasting about 2 seconds there or so. No explosive clumps used for Iron. Iron instead does get the headshot. Much, I don't want to say much faster fight, but a faster fight for him as well over Niorra. As now he's going to be progressing towards Sanguine Noble. Score still tied 60-60. Upper Kaled, the next destination for Niorra, as I said. We'll see what he decides to do there. If he goes for the extra catacomb after the Putrid Avatar, definitely going to go for Gale Tunnel. He's definitely going to go to Dragon Barrow West, probably Hughes. And I think that Niorra, I do wonder what's on the highway. I don't remember seeing Niorra kill the highway boss in Altus, but I also didn't catch what he actually skipped when he went to Godfrey. I don't know, maybe he did get the kill. I don't know. But it seems to me that he is pretty much done with Altus and Leyndell. So now he's going to be clearing up other things, and he has 35 minutes to do so, which is a lot of time. It's not very common. Sometimes we have seen players enter Altus at 1 hour 25. Right now, Niorra is actually done with Altus completely at 1 hour 25, so gonna be very curious to see what he decides to do, right? Because this might also be a situation that he's not familiar with. The fact that he did Altus this early, I don't know if it's something that he practiced or if he decides to do it, decided to do it on a whim, given the early Dectus. But a lot of the times, players have to deal only with few checks remaining and only a little bit of time left at the end of the match. And right now, the scenario is quite a bit different. You have to go through everything that you haven't done yet and then kind of decide. And maybe the timing throws you off a little bit with Altus being done already. Demi-Human Queen posing no threats to Niorra, who gets his 61st point. Same for Iron on the left side. The Falling Star Beast went down quickly. Windmill Village going to be the next place. And let's see if Niorra first goes to the Merchant. I mean, you would probably expect that, because you can check it for free. You can check his wares basically for free. You have to do it sooner or later anyway. And then he will probably have to go over to, fight that Dragon Barrow boss, which we know is the Bofa duo. Yeah, the rule set, I can pull it up real quick for you. Right here. That's a problem for Rambler as well. Usual practice scores were lower. Maybe it's still 80, so I did not really know how to navigate the late game well. Yeah. I assume that both these players have enough experience navigating a really fast seed, but yeah, the routing might be just a little bit off. For Niorra specifically. I think for Aaron, it's kind of normal, right? In fact, Aaron has even done a lot of extra stuff that you maybe sometimes don't do before Altus. Like, I think for him, the decision-making will be a little bit easier as Niorra has dealt with one of the Dragon... not Dragon Barrow. Bofas in Dragon Barrow, and now gets the kill on the second one as well. No risk there. Score still tied, 62-62. This has been a really, really fast seed still, I have to reiterate. It was a cleaner fight, in the sense that he did not have to hide behind the shack there and got to kill the first guy a lot quicker. Nice little bit of time save. I think that is what Niorra needs. When they're teleporting away, you're waiting for the score to change. They're just watching the top right side of their own screen. And as soon as the score changes from, 61 to 62, that's when it's safe to warp. Sometimes there are also sound cues. But funnily enough, some enemies also drop their items a little bit later. And so you need to know which ones those are. Like, for example, the Tibia Mariner in Liurnia. That one? Ooh, just barely not saving a hit there is Niorra. Man, no HP on Radagon. Yeah, there you have to wait for those extra items, and then you teleport when you hear the extra items. Because, like, that could be Dectus that you're skipping otherwise. All right, Abandoned Cave going to be the next place for Niorra, who will be facing Alecto there. At the same time, this merchant going to be checked by Iron, who finds nothing particularly useful. Levels 55 strength, 40 vigor, catches up to vigor now to Niorra as well, who had 40 already. And let's see how this Abandoned Cave goes. This is going to be a nice cycle for Niorra. It is, no problems there. Yeah, I think it's way easier to follow the score in formats like these, simply because if you're waiting for an auditory cue, there's a lot of audio going on the entire time as well, right? And it happens to players that they just warped out a little bit too soon in anticipation of the sound effect. And one thing that also needs to be considered, and this is, you know, something that I know from my editing work, your auditory and visual stimuli get processed at different rates. Like when you're editing, you cannot line up a sound effect with a visual one-to-one because the visual actually gets processed at a different rate than the auditory one. You always have to put the sound effect a little bit before the visual effect. It's only a tiny bit, but otherwise it just sounds off. And so I think following the score just makes sense. It is enough times to kind of learn how much time each boss takes. Yeah, but you still have a visual cue for it. Like, I don't think the players are just kind of YOLOing it. Trust you on that one? You should. Plenty of experience on my YouTube. Okay, DTS is the next place for Iron, who's finishing up this back of Alta's chain. And we have the first Dragon Barrow venture. It's going to be Niorra doing it first because he did do that early Altus. And he has been done with it. He finished the upper Kaelid as well. He actually didn't finish it. He did the Dragon Barrow part. He didn't finish the actual Kaelid part. But now he's heading over to Dragon Barrow proper. First fight, very quick. That was just a clean out night. We can see in front of Niorra right now, he's going to have to deal with this Finger Creeper who's climbing a branch. Crazy stuff there. A Colossal Finger Creeper on the left side. You do not want to get chased by that. He's making sure he doesn't aggro it. And if he does that, he has it clearly in view. That Death Bird disappeared faster than I could even call it out on the left side. So that was a very quick kill for Aaron, who's now at 65 bosses with 30 minutes left. Can he get 22 more to break the official record here in Deathless Randomizer League Season 2? Meanwhile, Gaius is going crazy on this bridge, patrolling. Nice roll on the charge. Gaius definitely going to take a little bit of time to kill here. That's why Niorra applied a poison grease, out of all things. Hoping to poison the boss, get some extra damage in. Does get a stagger already. Nice jump attack after that as well. Does get the riposte. Soon going to be phase transition time. There it is. He outspaced it. Did another jump attack as well. Another 2 jump attacks, in fact, because the railing kept Gaius really nice and close. Good dodge on that gravity thrust as well. Another stagger. No riposte this time. He was a little bit too far. And the poison is actually going to finish the fight here for Niorra, who does get the last laugh. That's pretty good. And he's going to be progressing through Dragon Barrow right now. Yo, what's up, David? How's it going? Okay, Gillica moved up in Altus to higher scaling. Doesn't matter. She's dead already. 66 to 66 is the score between these two players. See what the next Dragon Barrow boss is. We already saw a Deathrite Bird on the lower bridge. It's going to be Spirit Loretta replacing the Putrid Avatar. This should be a fairly decent fight for this build, because as you can see, you get a stagger really quickly. Now the buff happens, you know, kind of the pseudo phase transition essentially, and Niorra just decides to face tank all of the Glint Blades and does get the kill in the end. Gets an extra point. Meanwhile, this Lanceax replacement, which we saw already from Niorra, being fought by Aaron, who's having a really nice Crucible Knight fight, actually playing very aggressively. Unfortunately, that last hit does not get the job done. The Fun Daggers will. Good kill there, as Niorra is approaching the Dragon Barrow Cave. He found Radahn's Great Rune. I don't know if that's something that you want to switch to. It does give you extra stamina, extra HP, extra FP. He's definitely going to sit down to spend his 400,000 runes. Sends it all to strength, gets 69. Nice amount of strength. This Dragon Barrow Cave can be very, very tricky. Right now, the first set of enemies is actually looking pretty good. But these guys can sometimes join you in the boss fight. I don't think those guys will, though. Also, we have Niorra using one of the crabs. Very, very nice. And that's actually really important, as we have some Game of Thrones music in the background. Solitary Jail Knight gonna be replacing the boss that is normally here, the Bofa Duo. And these guys are always really tanky, obviously with this scaling even more so. Damage is not too bad. He's probably gonna deal really good damage to Niorra, but so far we haven't found how big the damage is, because Niorra's doing a really great job dodging all of the different attacks. Already went through the heal from the Solitary Jail Knight as well. Insane run-up jump attack there from the Knight. Oh, there we go. You can see that the damage is quite big. That was just an R1. You don't want to get hit by the Ash of War. I don't think we want to be limit testing our health bars here. As Renala went down already for Iron as well. He's taking a lead, and that makes sense because a lot of these bosses are taking quite a while for Niorra with this insane scaling in Dragon Barrow. Of course, they're also very close to each other. That's why players go into the Dragon Barrow in the first place. Nice kill from Niorra. Good stuff. Have to clap for that. That was really, really good. Kept his composure. Does get another kill here. Now going to be heading over to the Deathrite Bird. Let's see which path he decides to take, because that Colossal Finger Creeper will be in the way here, potentially. As Adan is being fought by Iron, who will have to deal with the Wormface right after. Luckily, Wormface not aggressive yet. Let's see how this Wormface goes. We saw a really, really quick stagger from Niorra last time. Same here for Iron. Insanely fast fight, insanely safe fight. You'll have to see it. 69 points to 68. See how this Deathrite Bird goes. Obviously, the setup is really nice for it. I actually honestly would think that the Colossal with the Sunflower would have been nicer, as the Deathbird actually has high ground at the moment and is not coming down. And because of it, it's actually using phase 2 attacks. Like, this stuff never really happens in the first phase. That is crazy. Really unfortunate positioning there for Niorra. Not much you can really do about it. And he's not going to be able to get a stagger either on that big explosion. Has to run away. This fight taking a while. I was saying, I think I would have actually liked to see the Sunflower in action, maybe. I do think you would have been able to deal a little bit more damage, but obviously this double strike heavy combo still getting the job done. As Niorra now at 69 is going to head over to Forbidden Lands. He's trying to get all the high scaling stuff out of the way in a row. Plus he's actually going to head backwards, activate this elevator, and then warp back. This allows him to save a little bit of in-game time, because the next time he comes back, the elevator is going to be at the bottom. You're not going to have to wait for it. Oh, and I think this is something that Niorra has not done in Altus yet, actually. The Wormface replacement being a Death Knight, I do not recall. So I think that's something that Niorra still has left. I wonder why he has pieced out of Altus already. So I was talking about how his Altus is done, but in fact it is not. This Death Knight definitely wasn't killed. Yeah, right now, Iron is in the lead simply because his fights have been faster. Overall. Some fights have been slower, some fights have been faster, but overall, his fights have been faster. And he did a lot of checks that are kind of inefficient one by one, right? And he's still in the lead. It's like, it's really hard to say. It's impossible to tell what the advantage is, because the advantage isn't just the score, but the advantage, of course, is mainly the map progression and how much efficiency is left in the seed. And there's a lot of efficiency left for Iron in terms of where the bosses are positioned, you know, in relation to each other. While for Niorra, it's a little bit less so. What is that warp? What just happened? Oh, Niorra stuck around a little bit too long. I see. Beast out of the arena, still got teleported back to that bridge. Now he's going to be heading over to this Knight's Cavalry replacement in Forbidden Lands. You have to be a little bit careful here. There's a lot of enemies around. You don't want to aggro everyone, because that could be lethal. As the replacement in the tunnel for Iron was Siluria, and Siluria died insanely quickly. And so can be said about the fight for Niorra, who's now going to head over to the other boss here in Forbidden Lands. Both players attacking really, really high scores here. As Lindell is the next destination for Iron, so he wants to definitely get this Spirit Godfrey kill. And after that, he wants to go for that Morgoth. We'll see if he delays the Morgoth. As I said, we've seen players do that to try and skip having to deal with Melina, but it's a little bit of a risky move. You never know what's going to be there in the fight. And if you allocate too little time at the very end of the match, I mean, you might just as well miss out on 2 points. And, you know, if your opponent is also deathless, then that's the game right there. Yeah, exactly. Kills will be quicker, but at the same time, it takes much longer to get from one boss to another compared to, for example, Dragon Barrow. Okay, this branch not being a problem. Borealis not being a problem. Borealis being weak to strike helps a lot here with this build. Niorra gonna have the Memory of Grace out as he stays in combat after this fight. Iron for that running section actually opting for slightly better armor as well. Now going to be finally fighting Edge Red. It's actually comboing his ass. He has to be a little bit careful. We'll see if he does go aggressive. Yeah, he tries to get the stagger there. And now he misses. He's out of stamina. Does roll through that attack immediately into a heal. We'll have to see it. No extra risky plays as Niorra has now returned to Altus. The crime scene. Going to be heading over to Warmface and the tunnel after that. And then I still don't think that he's done Tibia Mariner, and I still don't think he's done that that night boss, the highway boss. I think it's the same for... Iron has not done Godfroy either yet, so he still has a little bit of Altus left. He's trying to look into the arena, see if he can spot something. I'm very doubtful that he got to see the boss right there. What's up, AGA? How's it going? Yeah, Iron did do that one. He didn't do Godfrey, though. That's what I'm talking about. He hasn't done Godfrey or the highway, I'm pretty sure. And Niorra hasn't done Tibia Mariner, I'm fairly certain as well. Okay, Iron finds the Miranda Flower with the Abductor. Tries to go for double hits. Does get some. Chooses the weaker target. Smart play. Niorra did the same thing. Now it's just a 1v1 with Miranda, which is tankier. Not as lethal, potentially, but tankier. We want to kill the weakest link. Makes sense. As now his score is going to up by 2. As I said before, he kills Morgoth and Margit with just one fight. So now the lead is 75 to 73. Niorra looking to pick up the 74th kill here. And I think by now we can kind of see, you know, we have about 19 minutes left in the match. The timer difference between the two players is very negligible. And now that Iron has done this double boss, I think we can see that it's probably a little bit of a lead for Iron, like 1.5 points maybe. We'll see how the Siluria fight goes. Yeah, very quick as well for Niorra. He did take a beating there, but it's no problem. Iron making it nighttime probably means that he's gonna head over to that highway and the Godfrey bosses. Yeah, he's going exactly there. So let's see, what do we have? And Niorra now, yeah, he still has, that's the interesting part. Niorra does still have some of the Urnia stuff left, actually. And it is not like a one-off like Lakeside Crystal Cave. In fact, he is actually heading over to the Urchi Avatar replacement and then Roads End Catacombs right after that as well. I again didn't see what the boss was, dude. Like, Iron also skipping? There must be Sunflower or something, no? Like, it's gotta be. What else is there? I couldn't tell what the highway boss was. As Iron doing slightly slower routing here to get to Godfroy. Not a big deal, just a couple of seconds. Hey, Miyazaki AC, will I be joining? I'm commentating this season. I am not joining. Yeah, I couldn't tell what the highway boss was. I could check Iron's stream as I... Sorry about that. I could check out his VOD real quick. As he's now fighting Godfroy. Assassin goes down really quickly for Niorra as well. We're gonna do a simple drop down here, no problems. As it is again a 1-point lead for Iron. Yeah, it might just be an Invis Assassin because you actually cannot see any boss, I think. But it's like, there are bosses that are also invisible at the start before they spawn in, no? So like, I don't know. I think, I guess both players must know that it's an Invis Assassin or something like that simply because they skipped it straight up. Maybe. Either way, both players are skipping it, so no routing advantage gained or lost. And Sage's Cave, still a thing that Iron hasn't done. Those are going to be 2 quick bosses for him as well, if all goes well. I'm very curious what Niorra is going to do with the remaining time that he has left. He still has Lakeside Crystal Cave, Stillwater Cave here in Liurnia. He still has some things in Upper Kaled. So he does have a lot of things to actually kind of go through. And interestingly enough for him, like he didn't do some of the slower one-offs like Stormford Catacombs and stuff. Or, for example, he didn't even do Kaled Catacombs. He didn't set up the gel tunnel, sorry, the gel cave in Kaled. So it will be very interesting to see how he fills out the time. And if he can do it with efficient enough stuff. While Iron did a lot of these extra things, is he going to have enough time to benefit from setting up all of that? Avatar goes down as the first Sage's Cave boss. Lakeside Crystal Cave is the next one for Niorra. 77 to 76, and this is going to be a very quick access to the next fight, which is a Deathrite Bird, I believe. For Iron on the left side of your screen, so he will be getting probably an advantage of 78 to 76 for at least a brief moment. Why is Niorra looting? Okay, he didn't loot much. Kind of picked up the item, just that one that was on the way, but like, you don't need to be doing that right now. 15 minutes are left. Lanceax is the fight here. It's going to take a little bit of time. And I was speaking about the jail cave. That's exactly where we are going right now. For Iron, who's just out checking the Stone Sword keys. You need 2 of them to open this one. He does know he has enough. So he'll probably try to look to open this cave. And then head over to Third Church of Marika to do the skip where you can enter from the backside. That sounds weird. And go directly to the boss fight. What's Niorra's next destination? It is gonna be Soldier of Godric. He has still not done that one. Yeah, Third Church of Marika is gonna be the warp now. And very clearly, like I said, we can see the lead for Iron, but anything can still happen. Iron has not done Dragon Barrow. He will have to go to Dragon Barrow. There are 14 minutes left. I do think that Dragon Barrow and Forbidden Lands are next for Iron. Now, we saw that the bosses there were not the scariest in the sense of random incidents occurring, but you never know with Randomizer. Like, you never know how a boss is going to behave exactly in an arena that is not its own. So a death could obviously still completely change the dynamic of this match. This Labyrinth, you'll have to see that as an extra check that that Iron is doing, and he does get a really quick fight there as well. So not only does he benefit from this extra boss, but he's benefiting from a really quick one. Yeah, he did do. Soldier of Godric was done by Iron. In this first Clean Rock Knight should be a rather quick affair, because your weapons will be able to bully it, except for that one block. And where is Niorra gonna head over to next? Stillwater Cave, maybe? No, it's actually gonna go to Stormfoot Catacombs, which were done already by Iron earlier in the matchup. So that is basically the same routing. Score is now 80 to 78. And I think that now you can see it's probably a 2-point lead, in all honesty, for Iron. Who's on a roll. He needs 7 more points to break the official record here in Deathless Randomizer League Season 2. Both qualifiers and playoffs. As I said multiple times, you cannot compare different scores to each other because different seeds are different. He does have 13 minutes left to do it, 12 and a half to be exact. But over the course of a big sample size, you know, getting to 87 eventually would still be really impressive. So we'll see what happens here. Guy who's going to be the first fight. Oh, Frost Grease actually applied instead of the poison. That one could definitely help to make this fight faster than it was for Niorra. His builds are straight out and out rain. That is correct. That is how the DRL Season 2 meta has kind of developed. This damage is not particularly impressive right now for Iron, who's gonna get kicked in the face. Yeah, double Frost Grease even. Makes me question whether that was even worth it to put the other grease up rather. Okay, face transition gonna be coming up. Double jump attack, rolls that on time as well. Not gonna have enough stamina to do an extra punish. Making sure to keep up the poise, throws Fun Daggers in the air, does get the stagger there. Can he pick up the riposte? He can. That's one of the biggest difference makers in this fight in particular, is actually getting that riposte, which Niorra missed. Really nice and fast fights. But yeah, the lack of stat requirements and the fact that you can upgrade multiple weapons at the same time by just, you know, dropping them and picking them up, and that upgrades them to your max level, that has kind of determined that this power stance jump attack meta has taken over in the DRL Season 2. That doesn't mean every single seed has been played like that, but I want to say like maybe 95% of matches here in the playoffs have been played like that, as Niorra gets a little bit lost. It's interesting to me, neither player actually going for that faster drop. They're opting to go just around the ramp here, as you can see on the right side of the screen. That does risk aggroing multiple other enemies, but at the same time, this Deathbird is probably going to go down rather quickly. Yeah. Spirit Loretta on the left side. Nice jump attack there for Iron, who's doing a really great job optimizing this power stance build this entire match. The boss is just a Deathrite Bird. And no second Catacomb there. No follow-up Catacomb. I actually kind of like to see that from Niorra, but I don't know what he's going to be doing after this, to be quite honest, besides Stillwater Cave. Because that Catacomb does take a while to get through. Now, the fights are relatively quick in this league, so doing checks that take a little bit longer is okay. That's acceptable. Nice optimized drop down here as well for Iron, who's now heading into Dragon Barrow Cave. Never mind, that was actually not very optimized. I don't know why he went back on Torrent there. And he'll be heading over to Solitary Jail Knight as well. Gonna spend his runes. Yeah, levels Vigor, has a little bit less strength and more Vigor now than Niorra. Niorra sitting at 69 strength, I believe, while Iron is at 55, so his damage, in theory, should be a little bit lower, but is it going to be lower enough to, you know, lose him hits on fights? Probably not. As Iron has 9 minutes left and 20 seconds. Exactly the same for Niorra right now. We'll find Soldier of Godric. See if he can get this one shot. No, he just attacks too soon. Now eyes are peeled to the left side of the screen where we have a much more difficult fight in terms of NPC fights. Solitary Jail Knight. Jump attack into an L1, then back off. Try to punish. We've punished the boss. Scaled Catacomb is going to be the next place of destination for Niorra, which is going to take about the same time that it did for Iron, because he's also running from the Grace. If he went there immediately after Exikes, he would have saved a little bit of time over Iron. No such luck, though, as Iron is playing this fight extremely clean as well. Nice punish on the bow usage, the Avalon usage there as well, and does get the kill faster, in fact, than Niorra for sure, as Niorra is now descending this. Slippery Branch does get it safely as well. Nice, nice. Double Crystallion, I think, is in this Catacomb. The score is 83 to 81, and it is going to be faster for Iron to actually get to this next fight. Taking a little bit of a safer path. He does not want to follow Sirius and get knocked out because he dies here on the branch. I can respect that, and we'll see how this fight goes. Niorra had a little bit of tough luck here. The Deathriber did get to the upper branch, which, you know, really messed with the fight. Right now, Iron waiting for the first opportunity to strike. The opportunity presented itself right now. Gonna try to get a headshot. Let's get a partial hit. Takes a full hit instead, though, right after. Let's see if he can get a stagger before the phase transition. He does so successfully. That is what Niorra was missing in his fight. It's a much faster fight for Iron as well. A little bit of better execution, a little bit of luck as well. That must be said, but that's just the name of the game. You could run without a randomizer. You could do a 1-to-1 speedrun competition, and the RNG of bosses is still gonna determine, you know, who wins if both players play almost the same way. So that's just how it is. You can't avoid that. Forbidden Lands are the next place for Iron. He'll be able to eke out 3 kills here, which should get him to that 87. Now the question is there going to be enough time? We know that these fights are all very quick. We have a Knight's Cavalry, we have a quick duo, and we have Borealis. So I think this is looking pretty good for Iron. I think he might be able to break the DRL Season 2 record here with this seed. 7 minutes are remaining. Meanwhile, Niorra with 7 minutes of his own, heading over to Stillwater Cave. Both players' timers basically completely in sync, now that they have done about the same stuff. We'll see what this Agent Untouchable has to say about the result of this match, if anything. If it wants to give us a premature ending or not. So far, so good for Niorra. He does not have a lot of stamina right now. The Aging Untouchable is going to show up any moment. There is the teleport. He is trying to break the line of sight. Does so successfully, just like Iron did. There's another teleport as well, but this one shouldn't work, I think. Okay, there's another... No, that was the poison buildup. As that Night Scholar went down extremely quickly. 6 minutes left for 2 kills. That should be no problem. Iron is going to get teleported back to the bridge as well. Darville goes down in just 2 hits. 83 is going to be the score for Niorra right now. Niorra, what are you going to do with your remaining time? He's actually going over to Saints Bridge. He's going to go for High Road Cave. That one takes a while to get to as well. Can be a little scary sometimes with gravity deaths, but it is the lowest skilled enemy that you can fight around here, so it should be a really quick fight after that if he does get to the boss fight. There's nice double hits here for Iron with 5.5 minutes left. He does get 86, ties the record score. His own record from the playoffs and also the qualifying record that was set by Hooser. Boreal is going to stand between him and making the history here in DRL Season 2. And this is one of the problems for Niorra. I mean, Niorra skipped a lot of inefficient things, but the pace of the match is just not playing into his favor. Obviously, he lost time on some other in some other places, but it's not playing in his favor because right now he is actually forced to do less efficient visit less efficient destinations compared to if he just decided to do some extra stuff a little bit earlier on. Okay, Borealis, eyes peeled to the left side of the screen. Borealis is probably going to get staggered with the next jump attack. And with 4.5 minutes left, that is the new record here for DRL Season 2. 87 is the score. Memory of Grace, what are you going to do with the time that is remaining, Iron? Crazy fast seed. Dectus allowing this to happen as well. He's going to go to the start of the DLC. The idea is to make it to the Solitary Jail Knight replacement and then hopefully also make it to that Ghostland Dragon replacement with the time left that might be possible. Now, what needs to be said is a little bit scary for Iron because he's pushing the tempo as much as he can. He knows Niorra is a very capable player, one of the best that he's had to face so far, so he needs to try and push the tempo as much as possible, but he does not have any Scadutree blessings. He is at level 0 right now when it comes to his Scadu blessing level, and so these DLC enemies are gonna deal a lot of damage. Okay, Niorra going for the same play as well. I was gonna say that this could be a little bit risky. The score is 87 to 84. Huge advantage for Iron, 3 points in fact. Very easy to say right now because both players are doing the same thing. And if one of them died, or rather if Iron died here on one of these DLC enemies, that could be a little bit of trouble. And we have PK as the first fight. PK is not going to be the tankiest, but the fire could dish out a lot of damage. Luckily this is a small arena, so in a sense you might be able to interrupt the phase 2. You might be able to stay so close that the phase 2 never happens, as we have a huge stagger, big riposte damage as well. Let's see what the RNG is going to be like. Okay, he does get another melee attack, finishes the fight. 8 is the score. And he's going to be warping out, and now he's thinking about where to even go. It's going to be High Road Cave. Okay, only one DLC boss. Fantastic job from Iron. He's not going to be heading over to the next boss here in the DLC. Instead, High Road Cave is going to be the place that he wants to finish this run on. And unfortunately, we already see Niorra having bad RNG compared to Iron. Has to deal with this stolly of an attack. That means all the poise that you build up with that first jump attack is already gone. And the biggest risk now for Iron and his victory here. Oh my god, look at the damage though. See, I'm telling you. These DLC bosses, when you're at Scadu 0, they can be really, really scary. And Niorra might have to deal with a phase transition unless he gets a stagger over here, which he doesn't. Now gonna have to deal with the fire, but the fire might actually be landing on top of the arena, so he's safe from it. Okay, that's good, that's good, that's good for Niorra. But does get a stagger of his own now, we'll be able to finish the fight, and yeah, at this point, the only thing really standing between Iron and victory, who has a really optimized even descent through this cave. Okay, he got a little confused there, he actually went the wrong way, never mind. Is Gravity. Is he gonna fall to his death here, or is he gonna be able to eke out the victory? As Niorra is now back to this Fire Giant phase 2. Okay, he does do the faster drop here as well. Ooh, that was a close jump. That scared me a little bit. I did not see that parkour coming. I thought he would jump to the middle where the two enemies are. But he is gonna get to this fight. Tibia Mariner is gonna be standing in his way. Probably a pushover. As Fire Giant is being fought now with a double Frost Grease as well. For Niorra. Niorra definitely has enough time to actually get this kill. 89 is the current score, and Altus Plateau is the next destination. Is this gonna be the Invisible Assassin fight? That is where we are heading right now. I mean, that's the only thing that he has left, really, and it's the only thing that you can do or reach with the time that is left. You have to go for that kill. It makes sense. He is trying to push the 90 as Niorra gets a nice kill there on Fire Giant as well, but what is he gonna do with his remaining 40 seconds? Probably not much. Oh, it's Millennia. It's not even his assassin. It's actually Millennia. That's why they skipped it. I see. I couldn't really tell. Like, it was impossible to tell even when I went full screen. The damage to Millennia is actually really good. One of the problems is that you always have to deal with first and second phases at the same time, as there's Waterfowl and Mesmer Soldier at the same time for Iron. Oh my god. Malenia takes out the Mesmer Soldier. That was a very scary moment. In the last 30 seconds of the run, Iron could just be chilling. He obviously doesn't know that. His pride doesn't allow him to do that. He wants to get the 90. But there's no chance. Just peace out, man. You cannot get this kill in the next 20 seconds, but you can definitely die in the next 20 seconds. Just peace out. Just peace out. If it was nighttime, I do think that this kill was almost possible. I do think the kill was almost possible. Oh my god, he takes the rippos. That actually skips the phase transition, and the match is over, ladies and gentlemen. Iron is gonna take it 89 to 86. Niorra tying the record for the competition. Meanwhile, Iron breaking it by 3 points. Sets the highest new kill count, and he was 15 seconds off of getting the 90 here. If that Mesmer Soldier wasn't there, if the waterfall didn't happen, I think this would have been very close to the 90. He played it like a madman, dude. I don't think I've ever seen anyone take the rippos there during the phase transition. Delayed as well. Right? Like, that was really, really good timing because he got the stagger at the same time as Malenia basically was going to transition to phase 2. And that allowed him to take the delayed riposte, allowed Malenia to transition to phase 2, but she stays in her body, right? She's the same model. So she took that extra damage from the riposte, and then he didn't have to deal with the flower attack as the opener. Instead, he was able to do the fight immediately. So that was a fantastic moment. That was like crazy. I really enjoyed watching that. That was crazy. That was a wild match. I think both players have to be super happy with their performances. Because right now, I mean, for Iron, there are not many mistakes that you can really point to, right? There were maybe a few small mishaps, but nothing really major. And for Niorra, I think that he kind of played to his limits as well. Like, Niorra is out despite a score of 86, but he knew he was going against Iron. He knew that Iron was probably the player left with the potential for the highest score. Maybe not the highest consistency, even though in playoffs he has been extremely consistent as well. So the argument can be made there. But definitely the highest potential for the highest score. That's the kind of explosive player that Iron is. And so Niorra, I think, must have realized that, you know, it was going to be tough on such a fast seed to win even with an 86. Because, like, we started with really strong builds, multiple power stance options, and on top of that, you had the ability to, you know, enter Altus with Dectus, full Dectus. Plus, you had both Leyndell and Forbidden Lands, like 2 good graces for extra boss kills. And with how fast the seed was, players were able to just clear out all of it, basically. So, yeah, this was crazy. This was really crazy. And I think that both players have to be happy because I think Niorra, you know, played to his potential, and I think Iron played to his potential as well. Look at Iron's runes, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. And you know what's funny? This was a seed number 3 versus seed number 2 matchup. With Iron being seed number 2 and Niorra seed number 3. What the fuck? This was written in the script, dude. This was written in the script. Forsa just wrote this into the script, I think. Crazy stuff, man. All right, all the predictors are gonna get their points because it was actually 75% for Niorra, 25% for Iron. There we go. And Iron is gonna be moving on to the losers semifinals. I mean, it's crazy to think that Iron is in the semis, in the losers bracket, but like, that's what it is. Like, all it takes is to just die once. All it takes is to be a little bit slower, and your opponent to be a fucking mad lad like Roman was in the upper brackets. For Niorra, you know, he's out. He had a really, really great run through the lower bracket, but if Iron just died here at the very end, if that Mesmer Soldier caught him with Waterfowl, he got rotted or something, like, suddenly, you know, Niorra would have been through, despite actually being the slower player today. So, yeah, this is crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy stuff. Let's look at the bracket. Let's see how this actually is going to play out. So I'm going to go to this site. Let's see if we already have an update here. So far, we don't, but Iron is going to be getting into the match L29 losers semis. He's going to be facing the winner of Kaijuro against Helios. That match isn't scheduled yet. It should be happening sometime later this week, I believe. So I think that will be really, really fun. And at the same time, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Niorra. He was the number 3 seed for 2 DRLs in a row. he made it a lot further this time. Last time he just fell out in the first round. Meanwhile, this time he did also lose in the first round to Roman Jack in a rematch, but he went on a tear here in the lower bracket. He did get an 81, he got a 79, another 80, a 78. He did die in 3 of those matches, but today he kept it clean, got an 86. He has to be happy about that, and you know, he showed us some really, really fun matches, so hats off to Niorra. He played really, really, really well. As for the other match that we are awaiting, it's the winners finals between Forsa, the big boss man himself, against Roman Jack, who has been on a tear as the underdog, defeating Niorra, Raku, and Iron. Gonna have to go through another French competitor, seed number 8, Forsa. This match will be happening in 3 days' time at 6 p.m. on Friday. I've signed up to cast this. We'll see if I get to cast this. I've casted quite a few matches, so someone else might be doing this one. I would love to do it, but we shall see. And of course, as I said, we are still waiting for the scheduling of this one. So one thing I would like to ask the players who are probably getting interviewed by the French broadcast, is they are both French. Makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, that is in fact the case. I think that what I would ask is the selection of weapons in the early game. I do believe that that was a little bit different between the two players. With Iron, you know, going for the Colossal build with Limgrave, and Niorra going for the Great Hammers almost immediately, even in Limgrave. And then as soon as Limgrave was done, and we were progressing to lower Kalit for Iron, he switched to these Great Hammers as well. So yeah, would have been kind of interesting to ask about that. But I think I kind of know the rationale. I think Iron just wanted to have the higher damage in Limgrave, and then when he went to slightly, you know, higher scaled regions, he probably went for the safer option of lighter Great Hammers, where he's going to deal less damage, but at the same time, he's going to be able to play a little bit more aggressively because he does have extra poise, and he does have more physical and magical damage protection as well. GG from the cast, thank you. I wasn't able to get a guest today because this was like such a short notice of a match, so I also got to message a couple of people on short notice. And then in the end, I was, you know, running just barely on time today, so I was not able to actually get back to Discord and messaging people because I had some other things to do. I had to go to the gym today as well. This match was scheduled just about 24 hours ago, so I'm glad that we were able to get at least some cast put together. I tried to do my best to bring it to you, a lot of play-to-play, you know, play-by-play rather, commentary on this matchup, a little bit of meta commentary as well, I think. But otherwise, I think in terms of build making, and I think in terms of routing, it was a fairly straightforward match. There wasn't that much to talk about. When you have such a slobber knocker, when you're just able to, you know, whip the boss's asses like so fucking fast, so quickly, there's not much left to do than to just kind of witness the spectacle of the 89 score for Iron and 86 for Niorra. But that's going to be it for me for today. I'll be back again tomorrow with my regular stream, 2 p.m. Central European Summertime. That is 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern for you guys overseas. Slobber knocker, yes. It's a wrestling term, but I think it very much was applicable to this matchup because the bosses were falling left, right, and center. It was really fun to watch. I am, you know, admittedly kind of bored of these power stance builds kind of dominating as much as they are, but today it was at least a little bit more exciting because we got to see a new record score, which I think is always really, really fun. And I mean, hey, if Iron, you know, brings this kind of form and consistency to his next match, he is definitely going to be able to take the next one as well, regardless of if he faces Kaijuro or Lazy Helios. That said, he did lose. He did lose to Roman Jack without dying even, so yeah, it's... anything is possible, right? You can always crack under the pressure. I'm going to send you guys over to Iron. Actually, go give him the follow. If you like to watch some competitive Elden Ring, he also plays in Bingo sometimes with his French colleagues. To the winner go the spoils. Until tomorrow, I hope that you guys, you know, stay safe. Take care of take care of each other. And take care of yourselves. And stay cool, as always. I hope that the match was fun. And tomorrow, we will be doing something new. I don't know what we'll be doing. Probably more DS1. I think I'll be looking into the all achievements run because I don't have time to set up Archipelago today, I think. So I need to think about it a little bit more, you know, maybe next week or something like that. But yeah, that said, I'm going to go ahead and get some food right now because I haven't had lunch yet. You guys take it easy. Thank you for joining me. And until tomorrow, stay safe, stay cool. Bye-bye.